Welcome, everyone. This is your friend, the DN What If, here with another exciting fanfiction. Today, we're diving into the story of What If Deku Escaped with Bakugo during the summer camp? If you enjoy this video, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe for more fanfiction content just like this. Now, let's get started with the fanfic. So, my first fanfic ever. Hope someone finds it good. This idea is stuck in my head, and I need to get it out somehow. Enjoy! It all happened so fast. Izuku didn't have a single moment to spare. His best friend Bakugo was on their side 1 second and the other he was being pulled inside a swirling black portal right in front of him. He didn't think. Instead he did what he always does, act. He felt his leg break under the force of one for all. Just like the day of the UA admission test, his body couldn't keep up with his heroic deed. In flash of cyan and green lightning, he tackles his friend away from the portal. Taking is placed instead. Midoriya. It was the last thing he heard before vanishing into the swirling abyss. His friend crying out is named in panic. Somewhere else far away from the camp, Izuku crash-landed on the magician that was holding Bakugo, crushing him against the opposite wall, knocking him out cold. Clearly, 100% one for all tackle was enough to take one of their members. His eyes darted around, seeing multiple members slowly getting in the room from their own portal: a lizard man in a Stain cosplay, a large person in a floral shirt, a man with dark hair and horrible burn on his face, and a schoolgirl with a manic smile on her lips. He swears he saw her smile widens as soon as they cross-eyed. Finally, he saw the two last people who were already in the room with him. He recognizes the black shadowy man as the one with the quirk portal and his leader, the man behind this criminal organization, Shigaraki. He tried standing up to face his foe, but clearly his broken leg couldn't support his weight and buckle under the pressure. To say that Shigaraki was said is an understatement. He lost about half of its pawn in a single night, and he had nothing to show for it. Only an annoying little green-haired pain in the butt. He felt the scabs break underneath his fingernail as he scratches his neck in a stressful manner. He couldn't even get the spiky brat as a consolation. Tonight was a fiasco. Stop gawking, you dim-en idiots, get him. As soon as his word got out, Magna was on top of the green boy restraining him. He tried to resist, but his body couldn't do anything. 2 broken arms and a broken leg aren't much in a fight. In minutes, he was tied up in a chair, unable to move. Izuku tried to resist, but adrenaline was finally dying down in his system. He could only wince and stare at his captors. This whole day is an absolute waste, said Tamura, clearly said at his situation. I'm done with this player too in screwing my saves. Kill the kid. Magna was about to strike him with her large metal pole but stopped once she felt the tip of a blade at her throat. Behind her was Spinner, blade in hand, staring her down. I won't let you kill Stain Chosen without a fight. He is a true hero and will live. His resolve was resolute. Magna quickly dropped her weapon. Clearly this wasn't worth it. What do you think you're doing, Spinner? Said his leader. You're my subordinate last time I check. Do I need to remind you of it? His hand quickly disintegrated the stool next to him. If you need to kill me, do it, but I won't allow him to die here, said the lizard. Shigaraki hesitated. Clearly, he wasn't worth the trouble. His quirk wasn't an event that good to begin with, just another NPC in the grand scheme of things. But he lost most of his team in a night. Compress was out cold for at least a day, and he couldn't risk any more loss tonight. His composure finally relaxes. Fine, throw him the back for all I care about. He sighed. See a kid, you live another day. Am I not a gracious host? He said with a wicked smile on his lips. Izuku couldn't do anything in his situation. In a span of about a minute he avoids death by sheer luck. His whole body was stiff. Unable to say or do anything, he could just wait and pray his lucky strike don't end anytime soon. Can I keep an eye on him? I'll be his personal guard, said the upbeat blonde girl, ecstatic at the prospect. No, you'll kill him, Toga. I know you have your own obsession with him, said her scaly friend. Come on, I promise to behave, she said with a pout. Fine, but if he died, you're done for. He concedes, knowing she'll just find a way to get to him if he keeps arguing. Better let her near him with at least the promise of no much harm. Remember, I have my eyes on you, brat. We're going to be so close, you and me, as soon. She quickly jumps into his laps. Midoriya felt the weight of her body shifting on his broken legs, causing him unbearable pain, earning a pained groan from him. She clearly liked it. "I'll bring him to our room, don't worry, I won't kill him yet." She started dragging him from the chair toward one of the rooms near the bar, disappearing into the dark room, leaving the rest of them in the common area, not sure if they should take her seriously or not. "So, who he's taking compress in his room?" said Dabi, unimpressed by their situation, turning his head toward his companion. Compress was, as they say, fold like a pretzel against the wall, clearly out of commission. Dabi turns his head back toward the rest of them and saw all of them finger against their nose, saying in unison, "Not it. Deepening it." Toga was gleeful not only as she made new friends in the summer camp, but she also now has the boy of her dream with her all alone together. This day just could not be any better. She set him up in the center of the room on his chair before skipping toward the door, locking it behind her. As she did, a large blush manifest on her pale cheeks. She brought her hand to her face, pinching herself to make sure she wasn't dreaming, the small pain confirming her joy. Izuku was on the other hand stuck in a room with a crazed murderer unable to move or defend himself. In short, he was fed. "Oh, we're going to have so much fun, you and me, Izuku." She cooed. What did you have in mind, Yum? You can call me Himiko." "Alright Himimiko, what do I have in ain't?" He was stressed out of his mind, not sure what to say in this situation. "Well, I was thinking we could talk a bit, learn about each other, play some game, stab you a bit, or any other ideas you might have in mind." That last part was said a bit more subjectively, earning a deep crimson blush from the boy in front of her. "Way to stab?" His word was cut short by the blade of her X-Acto knife lodging itself into his arm. The searing pain caused him to scream, but a hand quickly muffles him. His panic eyes set on her crazed one, a second trying to make sense of what happened. He found a sadistic glee behind them as he tried to shuffle away, unable to even protest. She removes the blade from his arm and looked at her handiwork. Blood was pooling slowly from his wound. She made sure not to hit anything important, captivated by the look of terror and pain he gave her. Truly a romantic moment for both. I knew you get me, Izuku. You directly skipped to the stabbing part," she continually cooed. I didn't say," grunted the boy, choosing his next word carefully. How about we slow things down a bit? Alright Himiko, let's talk a bit." He was hoping she will at least stop her stabbing if they choose to discuss. "Yes. What do you want to talk about, Izuku?" She seems genuinely happy just for them to talk. The only problem is that she's expecting him to ask questions, and he is really bad at social interaction. What should he talk about? Her hobby, his? Maybe where are they, but she might stab him if he tried to get information from her. She might also stab him just for the hell of it. What should he do? "Your muttering is really cute, you know that?" "Huh?" He looks up. She was centimeters from him, looking deep into his eye, her expression calm and measure a far cry from the manic smile she gave him earlier. Her chapped lips curled in a friendly smile, her eyes a soft look into them. She seems almost like a different person at this moment. He couldn't help but turn his face away, afraid she might think he was staring at her like Mineta would stare his female classmate. Toga saw him turn his face away from her, not in a scared way, but an embarrassed way. It was as if he felt he was the one being bad for staring at her. He looks like he wanted to apologize. Even in his situation, he was a gentleman to a fault, the perfect man. She took his face in her hand, turning it toward her, feeling a warm feeling creep up her body. She remembers seeing him break his body trying to get another boy with a weird hairdo to go all out during the UA festival. He was so cute, broken and in pain, but also so fierce and filled with determination. How can he be so perfect, both fierce and timid, both strong and weak? She feels her heart flutter as she continues to maintain his face in her hand, the flat of her blade stuck in between both. His eyes still refusing to look at her so directly. "So, what is your Q quirk?" Izuku mentally grown. Really in his situation, he's still trying to learn about people and their quirk. She'll quickly see his question to get more information and, "I can morph into other people." He could not believe his luck. She answers him instead of hurting him. "A shape-shifting quirk, how peculiar, how does it work? Can she imitate only people or also animal? What about object? What's the drawback? Does she gain their voice?" It actually only people I tried with animal, but it doesn't work, she answered him. Crap, was he muttering again? So I am a bit nervous, he chuckles briefly, forgetting his situation. As soon as he turns his eyes toward her, he blushes and darted his eye away from hers. Do you want to see it? Izuku wasn't sure. On one hand, she could be saying that in a way to coax him into a situation where she can punish him for trying to extract information from her. On the other hand, he was morbidly curious about her quirk. Maybe B, if why you wanna know pressure? He didn't know what to expect, but clearly not what happened after saying that. He felt her hands gently grabbed his bleeding arm and bring it closer to her mouth. Then he felt it. Her lips taking in his wound, gently sking the blood out of it. He was confused and a bit taken aback by her action. Her lips on his bruised shoulder almost feel like a kiss. He immediately turns red as a ripe tomato. How you do? His voice cracks under his embarrassment. It was quickly replaced by fascination as her flesh turns into a gooey cream-like substance enveloping her skin and hair. He saw the goo melt off her skin, leaving behind his curly green hair, his freckled face, even his injured leg and arm, a perfect copy of him dressed into a cardigan and skirt. Ta-da! His voice, that was his voice. She also copies people's voice to a perfect degree. Just a bit of blood and I'm a new person. It was clearly a sight to behold, a cheerful Izuku twirling in front of him, dressed in girl uniform with an unnaturally confident smile on his lips. His head filled with so many questions he didn't even have time to stop himself from asking them. Does the transformation is timed by the blood type or the quantity of blood ingested? Izuku asked. By the quantity, Izuku answered. Can you merge two people if you consume more than one person blood? No, one or the other. Is the copy perfect in all ways? Yep, want to take a look? She said, lifting her skirt in front of him. At this very moment Izuku realized what was implied and quickly shouted her that no, he believed her, no proof needed. Toga felt weird inside. Their conversation felt so natural right now, so normal. It was as if she wasn't his captor and he wasn't her captive, just two persons talking in the open about their quirks. He even stopped stuttering for a moment. No fear, no incomfort, she wanted this moment to last forever. Alas, she was a villain, and he was a hero. They couldn't keep talking like this forever. She would have to get him out of her live one way or another and go back to her criminal live. The realization makes her stop smiling, and she started shedding her false skin off her body. What's wrong? It was her turn to lift her head to meet his eyes. He looked concerned. She felt suddenly all her confidence melt like her skin. What's wrong? How could he ask something like that in a situation like his? She just stabs him a moment ago, and now he is worried about her. Why? In a world of fakes, he is a true hero. The word of stain hit her like a knuckle-duster right in the guts. A true hero, what does that even mean? He is just a boy. How can a boy like him ever even consider helping her? Her face became panicked, unsure. She didn't know what to say. She ran out. She just ran out, Izuku observed, confused but still concerned. Spinner was bringing gauze and bandaged for the mess Toga would certainly make from their captive. He knew that much was sure, but at least he would be probably still alive. After all, she kind of promised not to kill him. As he was turning the corner, he bumped into Toga. Shuai, watch, I dashed. He was stunned in front of him. Himiko, Toga, the psychopath teenage girl, was crying. She was crying? What happened? What the hell could have happened there? No time for question as she quickly kept running toward her room, locking herself in. Spinner had a bad feeling about this. He ran toward the room where she took Stain Chosen, opening the door expecting the worst, only to find a very confused Izuku still tied up to a chair, a single stab wound on his shoulder, looking at him as if also waiting for an answer. What did you do? I don't know. Spinner sighed clearly. He was as confused as he is. Let's patch you up, hero. That teen idiot, him. Katsuki was livid, he was said, but he wasn't angry at his friend who vanished into the portal. He was angry at himself. When he felt Deku tackle him away from the portal, he saw him. His face, he was so resolute. The same demon face he made every time he helps him, just like with the sludge villain, just like their exam with All Might, just like when they were dumb kids. FUC. Another explosion resonates through the forest. Bakugo stood in a crater of his own, making unable to help anyone, always the one needing saving. He felt weak. He felt more than weak, he was a failure, a brainless, useless. Deku. Ochako felt her words stuck in her throat, unable to say anything as she saw the boy she loves vanish in a portal far from her and his friend. He was probably alone, stuck with psychopath that wanted him dead or worse. Her knee buckled under her emotion as she starts crying on the ground, thinking she'll probably never saw the green-haired boy ever again. I'll go get Aizawa. Can you please stay with Uraraka Azui? Lita screamed for the rest of them, quickly running as fast as possible toward their teacher, hoping he would have an idea of how to salvage their situation. The frog girl kneeled next to her friend, taking her in a hug, trying to make her feel better and failing miserably. The rest of the students were frozen in place, unable to move, too ashamed of their inaction. The only thing they could hear was the explosion of the blonde boy next to them, digging himself deeper and deeper in both the earth and his own insecurity. It should have been you. Everybody turns toward Uraraka as she spews her venom toward Bakugo, her face red and puffy with sadness, yet an unmistakable rage behind her word. Everybody then turns toward the blonde, expecting him to go in a rage toward his classmates, some even putting themselves in between the two, not wanting more tragedy tonight. Yeah, it should have been. He didn't even try to argue. Aizawa knew how much they screw up. Children injured, one of the pussycat captures, and finally the cherry on his sheet Sunday, one student also capture. How did it happen? The league should never have this information. Everyone gathers to the lodge for a head count. Do not stray from the path, stay in groups with a teacher or one of the pussycat. He said that plainly, but he couldn't stop worrying. He was just good at hiding it from his students. Mr. Aizawa, will Midoriya be okay? It was Todoroki that asked him that. His face was neutral at best, but he couldn't hide the worry in his voice. Don't worry about it. If I know one thing is problem child never gives up, we'll find him even if it cost us. Now go rest with the rest and let the pro deal with it. In the villain hideout. Izuku winced as the mutant in front of him finished bandaging his shoulder. He didn't know what he should do right now. The whole situation was crazy. One of his captors just left him there in a panic while another provides him with medical assistance. Just how will he get out of here? Okay, now open up. The green boy stared in astonishment as Spinner brought up some food in front of his mouth, his visage stern and fixed on him. It's okay, no need to Espipon feed me. This situation was way too embarrassing for him. He wanted to sink into his chair and vanish away the same way he got here. You have two broken tied up arm, how the hell are you supposed to eat? Now shut it and eat. Spinner shoves the spoon in his mouth, almost choking the poor boy, clearly not feeling better about his own situation. He didn't want to do this, but no way in hell anybody else is going to do it except maybe Toga, but she was out of commission right now, thinking of which. Just what the hell you said to her, he said in between feeding him. She never expresses emotions other than glee and insanity. Then you talk with her for 5 minutes, and she bawls her eyes out. He sounded almost mad at him for making her cry. I don't know which ei shay. Izuku tried to talk, but Spinner was feeding him faster than he could swallow. Swallow then talk. Spinner yelled at him, forcing another spoonful into his mouth, contradicting himself, trying to be done as fast as he could with his meal. Midoriya forced himself to swallow the rather large bite of rice, almost choking on it. He took some time composing himself before allowing himself to talk. I already told you I don't know what I said. Izuku didn't lie, he had no idea what sent her into such a mess. She just started looking sad and I asked her if she was okay, then the next second she ran out. Spinner looked him in the eyes, trying to find if he was lying or not, but he couldn't find anything bad in his eye, only genuine worry instead. This boy was the one elevated by Stain, the one that shall be known as a true hero among the fakes. Looking at him, he wasn't impressive, a small frame, a plain face, no confidence in conversations, but beneath the surface lie a brute of heroism capable to fight foe in every situation. A man who when he loses his arms start kicking and when he loses his legs start biting. But he didn't do it out of malice or greed. He jumps in, taking the place of his comrade, someone they deemed so unworthy. Shigaraki tried to recruit him. Stain was right about him, even now talking about their blood-drinking psycho. He shows worry, a true hero helping not only the innocent but also the wicked. Tell me, what do you think about villain? Spinner asks him to try to infer as much as he could from the boy in front of him. Well, the villain are be bad, a simple answer, one tainted by the very hero system he is working under, One so simple you almost can't fight it. Why? Spinner didn't stop staring at the boy, hoping he could save him from the system. They hurt people. They do it mostly for their own gain. Another short and simple answer. Ain't you said mostly? What about those who don't do it for themselves? Slowly he will rein him toward his cause. What do you mean? Bingo! What about those living in society left behind by a system who doesn't care about them? What about those stealing to feed their family and friends? What about the heroes selling their violence to the highest bidder for bigger profit and reputation? Are they villains? What will he say to the ugly truth behind it all? Izuku was stunned. Yes, not all heroes were heroic and not all villains were villainous, but still. Not all of them. Izuku dropped his eye down to the ground. I know not all villains do it for bad reasons. But this whole league of villains is taking it too far. You pretend wanting to help those who need it but sacrifice anyone in the name of chaos. Just for a chance at a better world doesn't mean you have to let everything else be burned. His head shot back up, defiant. Spinner didn't say anything, he just up and left, letting the boy alone in the room. His answer was perfect. He truly was the hero Stain said he was. Such heart, he couldn't let him die here. Toga was on her bed. She didn't know how much time passed. She didn't even know why she was so emotional right now. This boy manages to break her with 2 words. What's wrong? She stifles a scream into her pillow, not knowing how else to let her stress out of her. This wasn't her. Himiko Toga is a cheerful girl with a smile plastered on her face all the time, when she walks, when she eats, even when she killed. Right now, Himiko Toga was a crying mess, all her emotions bottled so well resurfaced in a single moment. All the rejection, all the hardship, and she couldn't push them down again. What should she do? She can't be seen like this. She can't be weak in this world. It's eat or be eaten. She decides to go get some food. It was late, so the only guy present should be Kurojairi, and he didn't ask many questions. Opening her door and making her way to the bar, kitchen, living room, storage, hopefully they should still have some TV dinner. Just like she predicted, Kurojairi was there. His shadowy figure cleaning a glass as she walks in. But he wasn't alone. In front of him, Dabi was drinking something, she didn't care what. She took one of the TV dinners and popped it in the microwave on the counter. She sits in front of it, her head laid on the counter, watching it spin around in the little box. You look like sheet, was the very comforting word Dabi laid into her before taking a swing from his drink. Thanks, you too, said Himiko, not leaving her super out of her view. Need a drink? Asked Dabi, unbothered. Sure, if you pay. Her tone was monotone, a far cry from her usual cherry self, but she didn't have the energy to hide it. She was busy making sure her dinner rotates well in its box. None of you pay for this, it's stolen and you know it, Kurojairi remarked, pouring a drink for the lady, not forgetting the little parasol she always usually demanded. So, said Dabi, what's eating at you? Nothing you care about. True, Dabi finished his drink. But I'm bored, so tell me anyway. What was she supposed to say to him? He wasn't a friend, he was more akin to a colleague. The only friend she had here was Twice, surprisingly absent from this whole situation. Where is Twice anyway? Probably hiding in one of the rooms playing hide and seek with no one like usual. You didn't answer me. She still didn't know what to say. She can't say a boy makes her cry because he cared about her. Inside, her feelings were conflicting. She wanted to speak with him again, to talk like normal teenager, just saying stuff for the hell of it. She also wanted to go in there and stab him, making her feel like this, for breaking her facade, for daring to put hope where she made sure to murder it. If you were not a villain, what would you be? Toga decides to dodge the question entirely and open an entire new can of worms instead. Still no answer. Dabi sighed, seeing that this conversation was going nowhere. He decided to answer her question instead. Probably dead, Dabi had no plan for his future and certainly had none for his hypothetical self. I wanted to be a doctor. Toga took a sip from her glass. The microwave beeping, telling her dinner was ready. She took it with her drink and went back to her room. Dabi makes no move to stop her. Instead, he just stared at her, trying to see what was going on behind those deadpan eyes. Izuku was struggling to break free from its bond. He had been alone for the rest of the day and was trying to take his chance to make a break for it, but 2 broken arms are not much to work with. He tried to guess where he was, But his room had no window, no clock, and certainly no address. He was figuratively and literally in the dark. He could just hope some hero was already aware of this place and tell the authority about it. In short, it was helpless, no way out alone for him. Even if he breaks his rope, he wouldn't go far with a broken leg. He was stupid, charging in with no plan into the lair of the beast, and now he could only pray for someone to save him. Knock knock. Someone, maybe it was a hero. What kind of villain? Knock at his own hostage. Hope was back for Izuku, as small as it was. Wise enter. Entering the room was, instead of his savior, Himiko Toga. Clearly, she had been crying, her makeup undone, her eyes red, and she had a frown on her face. She also had a blade in her hand. Can we talk, Izuku? Can we talk, Izuku? Was the word said by Toga, the girl in front of him. He wasn't sure if he should entertain her question. A million questions went through him at the same time. Was she okay? Is she going to hurt him? What happened? How can he help? Can he turn that into his favor? Is he going to hear tonight? She was looking at him with empty eyes, no emotion, nothing he could see in them to try to gauge his situation. Sure, Himiko. He didn't know what to do, but at least he could try to hear her out. Toga went ahead and got closer, blade still in hand. Izuku was still distressed about it, but she didn't lift it or point it toward him. Instead, she simply sat next to him on the dusty floor, taking a moment to dust off her spot. He was looking at her from his chair, head twist at an uncomfortable angle, not wanting to let her out of his sight. He still wasn't sure what to expect from her right now. She looked so far away, sitting right next to him. She was about a meter from him, but her mind seemed miles away. Hey, Izuku, she started talking, still looking away from him, not daring to cross his eyes, fearing another meltdown. What would you be if you were not a hero? Her tone was flat and emotionless. Was it a trap question? What to say to that? As long as he was alive, he always dreamed of being a hero. The thought of him being anything else was foreign to him. He could maybe have been a police officer or a paramedic, maybe even a firefighter, but he knew those were just excuses to get as close as could to heroes. Being a hero was who he was. He can't see himself being anything else. I don't think I could be anything else if I'm honest, he answers truthfully. He couldn't lie anyway, he was too bad at it. Himiko frowned a bit at his answer. In a sense, he was like Dabi, no plan, only the present. But his answer was different in a way that mattered. It was honest. He thought about it, and this was the only outcome he saw for himself. He was the protagonist of his own story, blazing a trail for himself. Dabi was the victim in his own story, reacting to the world. Where was she in all that? A protagonist or a victim of her own story? She didn't know. Himiko buried herself deeper in her knee, twirling the knife in the palm of her hand. Himiko, can I ask you something? Izuku didn't know what to say. He could try to understand her. Okay. Are you a villain? His question seems genuine. He truly was trying to understand her. What should she answer? Because I'm a freak? She thought to herself. Because her parent left her to rot, because their daughter was a hemophiliac maniac? Why was she like this? Was she born this way? Could she have been anything else if she wanted? Because I can't be anything else, she said, not sure if that was a good answer. Why? What did he mean? But can't he see the freak in front of him? She stabbed him in the shoulder not even a day ago, and now he asks why, as if she could anything else than a bad person. She looks up at him, not sure what to expect. Pity? Probably. After all, she was looking miserable down on the floor. Instead, she found not pity but compassion, his big green eyes focus on her, trying to make sense of her. She couldn't keep looking at them. She didn't deserve it. She felt her eyes water the moment they crossed-eyed. I think why you don't want to be a villain, Himiko. Izuku took a gamble, trying to infer what she didn't want to say. Himiko was taken aback. She didn't expect him to nail her thoughts so well. Hell, she didn't even know what she wanted to say herself. This boy in a single day manages to throw her off her entire persona she took years to build for herself. He makes her feel things she never thought she would feel ever again, things like hope. What if you're right? What if I don't want to be a villain? What can I do, Izuku? It's not like I can get out of here and live a normal life. I'm wanted wherever I go. I'll be hunted like an animal. At least here I'm not alone like I was years before. I want to, but I can't. She said it. If Shigaraki was here, he would have disintegrated her for saying something like this. But he wasn't. Here she alone with Izuku and it felt better. I'm sure we could find a way to make it work. We could talk it out, maybe get you a reduced sentence. I could help you vouch for you. He watches as Himiko stands up and made her way toward him, stopping right in front of him. She crouched at his eye level, staring him down. Then she lifted her knife to his stomach. He felt cold sweat pouring out of him at the sight of it. I won't be caged ever again. Her tone changed. She was angry at him, of course. Throws her out in prison was his brilliant idea. She was just thrash waiting to be picked up and thrown back into the garbage. This boy didn't care about her. He was just a dumb hero trying to make it out alive. She was so dumb for thinking anything else about it. I'm sure W can find another solution. He messed up. Of course she didn't want to go in prison. No one want that. God, he was dumb. He felt the tip of her knife start digging into his flesh. What if you just leave the league, go you under the R radar? She pushed the blade little deeper. So, I can be alone again, she yelled. Why don't H have to be? He yelled back. Her blade stops moving. He was glad about that. What if I can be your friend? Why you want to be my friend? It was a lie. It was impossible. He was just trying to stay alive, and yet, why yeah, if I get out I mean. W could hang out outside, do thing why you want, and normal things like why you always W on it. Just why you and me. What the hell was he saying? Hang out with a psycho. Why would he say that? Then he felt the blade in his stomach. Oh yeah, that's why. Toga stayed her blade. She didn't want to believe him. He was going to get out and throw her on the side as soon as he could. She also desperately wanted to believe him. After all, he didn't lie, yet she would have known he was a terrible liar. You promise? I promise. Why you and me just normal a D-Day. It was a bad idea. It was a terrible idea, the worst idea in the long history of idea. She couldn't accept. Okay. She accepted? He felt the knife being pulled out, leaving only a tiny gash on his body. He felt the weight of the world suddenly off his shoulder. He was alive. It was the best outcome he could have hoped for. He looks at Himiko. She was pensive, thinking. Her scowl was gone, leaving her with a much more subtle expression on her face. Okay, think Izuku. He had a busted leg, so running out was not a solution. Fighting was equally as bad. They couldn't take out the entire league, just the two of them. Well, more like the one of the Toga was the only one who could fight right now. A diversion? They had nothing to divert to. They could. I got it. Toga cheered. The boy mutterings were as annoying as they were useful. A diversion is perfect, and she had the perfect diversion in mind. She felt her smile coming back, and for once it was a truly happy one. What the plan, Himiko? He didn't know if he could trust her plan, but he had no other choice. It's a surprise. Stay here, she said, as if he had a choice other than being tied up. Toga ran out the room, leaving him behind, hoping she won't be back with Shigaraki for planning a mutiny. Twice was hiding from what he forgot. One thing sure, he was well hidden. Nobody would find him in this crate. He made sure of it, nailing it shut from the inside. Good luck getting him out of here now. Then he realized. Help, I am stuck. He panicked. His hiding spot was too good. No one would find him here. He was the victim of his own genius. Just like Icarus, he flew too close to the sun. Truly, his death would be an ironic. What? Then out of the darkness came an angel with blonde hairs and golden eyes. Found you. How did you open my crate? I nailed it shut. You just nailed the box. None of them were holding anything in place. Finding Twice was easier than she thought it would be. When she saw a box with hundreds of nails poking out of it, she was sure she had found him. Hey, I need a favor. Shuff, I guess you freed me from certain death so I could help you a bit. What do you need? I need a clone. Of myself. Why? It was unusual. Normally she didn't like to be cloned. After all, one Toga was more than enough. Because, she cheerfully replied, as if it explained everything. All right then, don't move, I need to measure you. Twice accepted her explanation. It was more than enough for him. Getting his tape out, he started taking her measurement for the cloning process. 10 minutes in, he finally finishes. In front of him stood two Toga, both smiling at him. Thank you, Twice. Thank you, Twice, both cheered. No problem, Toga, come back anytime. Get out of here. his job done twice, decided to go back into his box. The feeling of being out of it was getting to him. He needed some form of security from the world, and this box was perfect for it. Help, I am stuck. Toga didn't stick around to free him this time. She had a plan, and she needed to act fast. Shigaraki was playing in the common room, the cathodic TV casting a blue light on its viewer. Next to him Magna was also playing with the second controller. Dabi was sitting on his stool, not paying attention to the game they were playing. Spinner was looking, trying to get his boredom out any way he could. You're cheating, Magna cried out. It's not cheating, it's skills, replied the leader. There is no skill in Mario Party, you're just cheating and you know it. Magna was getting more frustrated by the minutes. And stop stealing all my freaking stars, I am not even in second place. Get good. Magna was about to violently throw her controller at the screen but was stopped by the sight of a green-haired boy running out of the door as fast as he could. She did a double take just to be sure. Yep, that the busted kid they kidnapped, slamming himself into the door and making a break for it. What the F dash? Behind them came out Toga, a large wound on her forehead, blood pouring out into her eyes, ragged breath as she tried to get a sense back. He headbutt me, get him. With no time to lose, Dabi sent out a searing wave of flame toward the exiting boy, missing him by a hair. Shigaraki took running after him with Magna. She tried to use her quirk, but he was already too far away to be effective. Spinner unsheathed his blade and went out running after the boy with Dabi. Kuruguri was concentrating on the complex, trying to cut him off with his portals. As they exited the room, Spinner checked behind him one last time, checking on Toga still in the doorframe opposite to them, and then went out with the rest of them. The brat was fast, way too damn fast. Didn't he was supposed to have busted his leg taking out compress? The little sheet must have been faking it, biding his time. Shigaraki was done with him no matter what. Spinner wants he die tonight. The boy turned suddenly on its left, dodging the blue flame coming its way. Unable to use his arm to brace himself, he crashed into the wall, bouncing on it, continuing his mad dash out. Little did he know that was a dead end. The corridor he took was condemned long time ago. It was just a question of minutes before he reaches it, and Shigaraki wrap his hand around the boy's throat. For now, he was still ahead, too far for Magna to reel him in. Izuku was running fast as he could. Not being able to use his arm was a pain though. He was doing his best, dodging flame and obstacles, jumping over boxes with the grace of a cat, ducking under a ray of fire. It was just a question of time before they reach him. He made a turn toward his right and then a dead end. No room, just a pile of debris stacked up to the ceiling. No way out. He looks around, trying the door, but without his hand it was impossible to open it. Well, I must say, kid, I'm kind of impressed. You made it farther than what I thought, but this is game over for you. Shigaraki finally cornered him. Nowhere to go except through him and his lackey. Izuku grunted at them, an expression of defiance on his face. Magna, reel him in. Magna lifted her big magnetic pole toward Izuku, a big grin on her face, and then nothing. What the hell, it's not working? She didn't have time to ask questions. She was cut by the sound of clapping coming from in front of her. Izuku, the boy with two broken arms, was clapping his hand together, a sweet smile on his lips. Everyone was confused. How can he do that? How did he neutralize Magna quirk? It should be impossible for him to do any of that except if… Yay! Congratulations, you got me. Izuku smiled, still clapping at them like he wasn't in any mortal danger. Toga. Shigaraki was livid that double-crossing Beach just played them. Actually, it's Toga too. I asked twice for this little service. Don't worry, he didn't know what I was about to do. Izuku started to melt before them, leaving behind Toga too, dressed into the boy clothes, swaying her body to a rhythm no one else could hear. Shigaraki got closer. Toga didn't move, still swaying her body, humming herself a happy tune. He stops in front of her, glaring at her while she only smiled back a toothy grin. In a second, his hands wrapped around her neck, disintegrating the girl in seconds. Kurogyri, bring us back. No answer. Diamenit. As soon as they ran out, Toga stumbled toward the bar, trying to get her balanced. Kurogyri saw this and went to grab her, stopping her from collapsing. She fell right into his arm and accepted his help to get back up. Thank you, Kurogyri. She smiled at him innocently. Also sorry about that. You don't have to excuse your… He was about to tell her to not beat herself over her failure, but he was stopped by the feeling of a syringe pricking him in his arm. He tried to push her away but was too late. Their weight shifted now. Toga with renewed strength was the one holding him, stopping him from falling. His vision darkened right in front of him. The last thing he saw was Toga gently sitting him against the wall, repeating to him, "I'm truly sorry, you're a good guy." As she put down the shadowy man, she took out one of his handkerchiefs, wiping the blood from her brow and holding it against her head injury. She jogs toward the room where Izuku was kept in, opening it. Izuku was sitting in his chair in his boxer waiting for Toga to come back. He must say when she came earlier with a twin of herself, he wasn't sure what she had planned for him. He was even less thrilled when one of them pulled out her knife, making her way toward him, asking him if she could strip him. But the plan worked. The clone drank from Izuku, creating a perfect copy of himself. Then Izuku too dressed as him, completing the illusion. When she asked him to headbutt her, he protested he didn't want to hurt her, not after all the help she gave him. He was feeling so bad. He finally accepted when she made clear that it was necessary for both of them if they wanted to get out. What a headbutt that was. Even now she felt the ringing in her ears. She was happy he held back a little, or she would have been out cold, him stuck in his chair and her on the floor. She wrapped her arm around him, and they started walking out the door together. Izuku, still in his underwear, couldn't suppress his embarrassment of having a girl so close to him, almost skin to skin. At least she wasn't in her underwear, or he would have probably fainted from sheer shock. As they make their way out of the bar, Izuku looked around trying to make sense of the layout. Near the bar, he saw the man responsible for the portal passed out, and near the bar, the TV was still on. It seemed they were in the middle of a minigame when Toga walked in. On the screen, he saw the player who picked Luigi had won by not doing anything. As they exited the door, they turned right, then left, then down the center. If he tried to go out alone, he would have been lost in these corridors. This whole complex was a giant maze. No way he would have made it out of here alone. Together, the pair slowly reach out one of the exits. Finally, his nightmare was over. He made it out. With some help, he would be able to see his friend, his mom, his teachers, All Might. It's good to be free. Suddenly a figure appears in the doorframe, blocking their way. Toga reaches out for her knife, ready to defend themselves. Izuku cursed himself for calling it so soon. He couldn't make out who it was because of the sunlight coming from behind him, obscuring his silhouette. "So, Toga, you're betraying us." He recognizes the voice. It was Spinner, now stepping in, letting them have a good look at him. He had his blade out and pointing at them. "Have a problem with that gecko boy," retort Toga. She was tense. In a straight fight she could probably take him out, but she couldn't do that and protect Izuku at the same time. He might like the boy, but he still works for Shigaraki. There's no way to guess what he will do. Actually, it depends. The lizard man didn't leave Toga out of its sight. "What will you do with him?" Toga wasn't sure. He might still betray him after all, but she needed to believe Izuku. He had made her a promise, and she truly wanted for him to keep it. "I'll get him out here, get him somewhere safe, then he'll do what he wants." Spinner stared her down then with a sight, but his blade back into his sheath. "Go before the others see us together." He walked past them, his eye fixed in front of him, letting the duo pass him without a fight. "Make sure he survives." That was the last word he said to them before leaving them. Himiko wasn't sure what to make of this conversation, but they didn't have time to think about it. With a final push, they made it out into on of the back alley. Izuku could see in front of him the bustling street filled with people. It was finally over. He made it out alive and, mostly, well. Himiko sat him down in the back alley near one of the walls, just close enough for him to get some help. She was conflicted. It might be the last time they ever saw each other. "Hey Izuku, did you mean it? When you said we could be friends?" Her eyes were running away from his, afraid she might see the truth of his word earlier wasn't as solid as she hoped. "Why I think?" His voice was weak. He had a hard time to convince himself he could be friends with a criminal, but she saved him. She showed regret. She was more than just a villain. She needed someone right now, and he was that someone. Himiko, I think you can be a good person, and if you need someone, I will be honored if you let me help you." She looked at him, her face almost afraid of the veracity of his word, but then she saw it again, his eyes. This big window into his soul, a pure white soul with no foul lie in between. Her face immediately flushed red when she saw his commitment. "Promise me." "Huh. In 2 days meet me at the train station near you. Promise me." Her eyes were tearing up. Izuku looked at her. She was so fragile she needed his help. I promise. On these words, Himiko ran away, leaving him in the back alley alone, not sure if she made the right choice today but happy nonetheless. Izuku took a minute to regain his bearing before starting to crawl toward the street. Excuse me, I need help. The first thing Izuku was when he finally opened his eyes was the bare white ceiling of his hospital room. He had been sleeping ever since he was brought in by some passerby. Looking down, he could see both his arm and leg were stuck inside a cast, preventing him to move them in any way, shape, or form. His pain from his injury were dampened by the cocktail of painkiller he was fed at his admission. Looking outside, he saw the sun still way high in the air. The window was open a little to let some fresh air in. Probably noon, he muttered to himself. From the corner of the room, he saw someone shift and move, getting closer to him. He didn't react, still high on painkiller. The figure finally got to the edge of its bed. He looked hazy through his eye. He couldn't focus his vision correctly on the intruder. He had long dark hair and was looking even more tired than him. Midoriya, are you awake? His voice sounded muffled in his ear, but he catches the usual grumble of his home-run teacher. You are in the Mizudafu General Hospital. You're safe here. Recovery girl is on her way as we speak. We tried to get you to her sooner, but the doctor insisted they keep you here for observation. He couldn't help but smile at that. He had everyone worried? He didn't expect his teacher to guard him during the night. As his vision finally focused on his teacher's face, he saw the large bag under his eyes. It seems he didn't sleep a wink since he was captured. You should go sleep, sensei. You look terrible. The same could be said about you, problem. Children. It'll be fine. I just must wait for the old hag to get here, then someone else is going to take my place as your security. Aizawa didn't let it apparent, but he was so tired he felt he could collapse at any moment. Combine that with the gut punch of emotion of seeing his student safe, battered and bruised. Aizawa had failed his student. They tried to retaliate against the League, but they had no lead about their location. No idea of where they could have hidden. They were searching for a needle in a haystack for 2 days straight. And as they started losing hope, suddenly the boy made an appearance near Kamino Ward. It was truly a miracle he made it out alive. The boy was clearly tortured. He saw the knife's marks on his body, a sight that made his stomach drop in his heel. They were not numerous, but just knowing that his student lived through that, because of their incompetence, was gut-wrenching. Aizawa did his best to keep his usual cool demeanor. He didn't need his student to worry about him in his situation. Prepare yourself, young man. The word is out about your escape, so expect everyone you ever knew to visit you today, his teacher joked at him. Izuku thought to himself that if Aizawa was joking, he was truly distraught about this whole situation. Nothing he could have done would have prepared him to that. At least Aizawa decided to wait outside. His mother was the first he meets, and to say she was worried was the understatement of the millennium. As soon as she got in, he would have been killed by a hug if his doctors didn't stop her. She would have probably broken the cast and the rest of his bone with her affection. At least he would not be hungry for the rest of the month. She had brought from home the entire fridge. He didn't mean it like all that was in the fridge. He meant she floated the whole fridge and all that was in it from their apartment right into his hospital room. Apparently the strength of her quirk was connected to her stress. The more stress she has, the more weight she can carry. He was just happy she didn't bring the whole apartment. My poor baby boy, she was crying on his shoulders, soaked the whole bed in her tear. What have they done to you? You don't worry, mumumfing, he tried to reassure her, an impossible task. Our recovery G-girl is on the WA as we speak, ill by right as rain by tomorrow, I'm sure of it. You are not thinking of going back to school, are you? After all that happened, I just can't trust them with you, Izuku. His mother still cried, burying herself in the crook of his neck. He was taken aback. Sure, it was hard news for her, but he couldn't just leave school, his friends, his dream behind. I'll be fine. I swear it on all might. No, Izuku, I just can't stand seeing you like this. It is killing me inside. I know about your dream, but what about me? If you didn't find a way to escape from there, I would have lost you, Izuku. I would have lost my dear boy, my whole life. She started sobbing again, harder. He felt her tear falling on his non-injured shoulder. He felt guilty for putting so much on her shoulder. His recklessness almost cost his life. It truly was luck that he made it out alive this night, and his poor mother was alone during all that, worried sick about him, no way to know if she'll ever see her son ever again. But still a feeling persists. You know, Mom, you are right. I do a lot of things without thinking about you. He looks at his mom, who took a pause from crying to look at him in return. Do you know how I broke my arms? She gestures no with her head. I saved someone, a little boy named Koda. He was attacked by a villain, the same one that took his parent live, and I stood against him with all my might and won. He looked down to his arm, a warm smile at his lips. And do you know how I broke my leg? She gestures no with her head again. I saved Kakin from being captured at the camp. I took his place with no regret in my heart. His eyes wander on his broken leg. I know I'm reckless, but when I do this, when I'm a hero, I can't afford to think about myself or you. I need to save everyone, Mom, not just myself. Izuku, she tried to say something, anything to make him reconsider, but she could not face his resolve head-on with her selflessness. This boy, her boy, could never talk about anything else but being a hero ever since he was a little kid. Even when he learned he was quirkless, he didn't stop trying to be one. Even when she ruined his hope, excusing herself to him instead of supporting him. You truly are going to be the death of me. I'm sorry. Finally, she stood back up on her chair. I really can't change your mind, can I? I'm sorry again, Mom. Fine then, if I can't do anything to stop you, I'll just support you as much as I can. She put a hand on his head, ruffling his green curl. I love you, Izuku. I love you too, Mom. A knock at the door stops their sweet son-mom moment. He could hear outside the commotion that was amassing at his door. He could pick up some of the voice from the other side of the door, and it looked like the whole Class 1A was standing on the other side. I'll leave you to them. They must have come with Recovery Girl, and I don't want to stop them from seeing you. I'll be back later if you're hungry. There's castudin in the fridge. On that, his mom up and went out the door. He saw his mom leave the room and the old UA nurse get inside. She walks up to him and then, "You stupid brat, what don't you understand in the phrase, stop breaking your bone?" He felt her cane hit him repeatedly on his head. He tried to resist, but he couldn't do anything to prevent her assault. Does it hurt? Why, yes, he timidly answers. Good. She then hit him one last time for good measure. Now stop squirming, I'll check if they fixed you properly. It was like a switch went on in the heroine head, from ruthless grandma to professional doctor. She carefully opens his cast, making sure all his bone were aligning correctly, and she changed his bandage to see if the wound were disinfected properly. Not the best job I saw, but it should be sufficient. Izuku felt the moist lips of the nurse on his arm, and suddenly he felt all his bones set, his wound close, and his pain vanish. Izuku tentatively put his once broken leg on the floor, testing if he could put his weight on it. He felt no pain. Under the careful eye of a doctor, he stretches and moves his limb, trying to remove the dull feeling lingering in it. Thank you, Recovery Girl. Your quirk is a true miracle. Izuku smiled, grateful at her. That not a reason to come visit me every moment possible. She hit him in the shin, making him sit down. Now I know everybody on the other side want to talk to you, but you have about 1 hour before you crumble under the fatigue. My quirk fixes you up, but it was a lot for your body, so don't waste your time. Okay. Everybody. You can come in now, shouted the nurse. As soon as she said that, it was as if a wave hit his door. All his classmates crumble on one another as they tried, all at the same time, to get in. He felt the weight of all their eyeball at the same time. Midoriya. Deku. Resonate all at the same time. Ichihaya was all he could muster at their enthusiasm. Are you all right? What happened? Are you still hurt? Where did they took you? Holy shit. The hospital gave you a personal fridge. Their question hit him all at the same time. He couldn't even see who asked each one of them. Except the last one, as Kaminari was looking inside the fridge with Mineta. On at the time, please. He already started feeling his body wanting to give up and go back to sleep. He looked around and saw everyone from his class, everyone but... Where is Kakin? The blonde was weirdly absent from the group, which was weird because everyone else was there. He decided to skip coming here. He said he was training today. Answer Kirishima, clearly uncomfortable. I tried to bring him here, but he is on edge since the incident. I get it. I didn't want to burden him with my health. Izuku didn't know how to feel about that. He saved the boy, and he still refused to talk to him. He knew his pride was probably still sore from what happened. Anyway, I'm glad to see the rest of you. The feeling is mutual, friend, respond Tokoyami. Yeah, it's good to see you in one piece. Some of us were worried sick, said Mina, giving a gentle elbow nudge to Ochako as she mentions the sick part. Don't worry about the academics, Midoriya. Me and Yaoyorozu made sure you didn't miss any material from class. Cheered Lita. Don't drop homework on him already, man, responds Siro. But I can't let him fall behind just because he was forced away, insisted Lita. Anyway, some of us brought you gift, Midoriya, said Sato, a large plate of muffins in his hand. But I feel you don't need these since you are already stacked on food. He turned toward the fridge. Mineta and Kaminari were already picking themselves a bowl from the stacked fridge. I can still at least take one. Izuku picked one and started munching on it. As he took the muffin, the other took it as a sign to stated gifting him that they had brought. Most of the girl brought him flour with some cards saying get well soon. The other had a mix of chocolate and light snack. There were some exceptions like Jiro, who gave him one of her deep dope CD, or Mineta, who gave him a rap box telling to open it when he would be alone. Yeah, that one was going straight into the trash when he will be alone. There was also Momo that gave him an envelope. When he looks inside, he found 100,000 yens. Izuku felt his throat close under the weight of that money. Somewhere in the room, Uraraka fell to her knee like a rock, whispering to herself about how unfair life could be and why wasn't she born rich. I know it's not much, but I felt bad and I sure you deserve it. Momo said, feeling bad about how little she gave him. Is she for real? Was the thought everyone shared at the same time about their rich classmate. A cough echoed into the room, and his friend took it as a good time to ask the question everyone had in mind. I'm sorry to blunt about this, but how did you manage to escape the league? Todoroki was curious about how Midoriya managed to slip away from a group of dangerous villains. How did you that last time we saw you? You broke your leg getting Bakugo out of the portal, added Azui. Oh well, you see wait, he can't tell them about Toga. It would seem extremely suspicious if he said that he accepted the help of a villain and made a deal with them in exchange for his freedom. Sure, he didn't promise nothing of importance, but still he couldn't just break the trust of Himiko after all she's done for him, all she sacrifices. Izuku laid back in his bed. Sorry, I still feel the effect of the painkiller. He ended his answer with an unsure smile, hoping he wouldn't push for more detail. Sorry about that, Midoriya. Maybe later then, replied the half-and-half boy. And no offense taken. We should leave you to rest in that case. Have a nice day, Deku. Chako replied. As the class left the room, he saw Uraraka stayed behind, making sure she was the last one to leave. That was weird because Lita and the rest of their friend group were at the front already. When everybody finally left, leaving behind the brunette, she looked around, making sure no one else was looking. When she made sure they were alone, she ran at him, taking him in a firm, warm hug. Izuku immediately turned red at the contact, unable to put two words together as his best friend keep him in her embrace. I'm so glad you're okay, Deku. And with that she ran out the door, fearing he could see her equally red face. Todoroki and Lita were waiting for her at the door. Lita asked her if she was feeling well, concerned by the red of her face, but she insisted she was fine. Midoriya is hiding something, was the acute observation of Todoroki. He shared it his two other friends. Well, it is true he avoided your question, but maybe he doesn't want to talk about what happened there. After all, it must have been terrifying for him, respond Ochako, agreeing something was odd. We should trust him to tell us when he is ready, confirmed Lita. I guess. As they leave, they saw a tall, lanky man with blonde hair get in the room with their friend. Midoriya, young man, greeted the man. All Might. Izuku was happy to see his idol and mentor again. Keep it down. I don't need everyone in this hospital to know my secret. All Might shush him, making sure no one could have heard them. Sorry. Well, it was true his identity wasn't revealed. The secret needed still to be kept. After all, it's not like he was forced into the villain hideout where by slide of unluck he would need to face the most dangerous man Japan for a second time in a gigantic confrontation, shaking the very foundation of their hero system, leaving poor Izuku as the last bastion against the remnant of his empire. As All Might is forced to retire, his secret now revealed to the world. No, that would be ridiculous. Tell me, have they learned about one for all, young man? Toshinori was apprehensive. If they knew it would change the game, they would need to plan in accordance. No, they never questioned me about it. That good news. All Might was relieved with the secret of all for one still safe. They still had time to make sure young Midoriya is ready to face the League of Villains. One of them tell me about the hero system that catches All Might attention. He was a follower of Stain, and I think he was trying to recruit me. Did you listen to him? And no, but he kept going on about how villain are not just symbol of evil and how some heroes were just as bad as the villain they fight. I didn't entertain his notion, but his mind flashes to Toga how she seems to be more of a victim of circumstance than a straight-up evildoer. Well, young man, what he said certainly seemed interesting. Izuku felt himself shrink in his skin. But as I am sure you said to him, hypocrite cannot preach to the choir. The League pretends to have the noble goal of toppling an unjust system, but in the end just want to create a power vacuum one their leader could easily fill. Yes, you are right. Now rest up, young man, you have a great future ahead of you and you need to recuperate your strength if you want to be able all the challenge I've prepared for your class. As he put his large hand on his shoulder, Izuku felt the weight of his fatigue finally catching up to him. Feeling exhausted, he agreed with All Might and waved him goodbye before crashing in his bed, falling asleep instantly. As he snored, he failed to notice one last visitor entering his room, a certain bombastic blonde with a permanent scowl on his face. Deku. Vlad King was good enough to let him in even if the visit window of the hospital was officially over. Bakugo was standing over his friend at the hospital. He had officially passed out from recovery girl quirk backlash. It was better this way. He didn't think he would have been able to see him face to face after what happened. Seeing him there sleeping peacefully should make him feel a little better about his friend, but a cold resentment still lingers in boy's mind. Why the f did you do that, idiot? His tone was soft. He took a chair and sat down next to him. No answer came to him. Why do you always do that? His mind wandered to all the thing they did together. The exam against All Might, the UA Sport Festival, his encounter with the slime villain, their childhood. They truly didn't interact at all now that he thinks about it, if you count out the insult he throws toward his friend. Why would he do that then? Why the f would Deku just jump in any time he needed help? If he did what he did to Deku to anyone else, they would probably resent him for the rest of its life. Hell, they would probably be the one pushing him in the portal. But not him, not Deku. Why? Katsuki shouted at his friend, expecting an answer, something. Why do you still cling to me? You think you're better than me. You think I'm weak. Yeah, you're right, I'm weak, and you are better than me. Katsuki sank into himself thinking about all that happened. Izuku stood against everything while he was handled everything on a silver platter. Izuku fought just to be here in you. Bakugo was pretty much given a spot by their old school. Thinking about their old school brought in so memory all the abuse he dealt him just because his ego couldn't handle sharing the spotlight with anyone else, not even his quirkless best friend at the time. He remembered the last thing he said at him while they're at least the last important thing. Jump off a roof, then maybe you'll get a quirk. Bakugo stood up, unable to take it from himself anymore. This chat was pointless. He wasn't even awake. Why even bothered? His hand in his pocket, he left the room still unsure why he came here. The nurse wasn't kidding when she said he would be tired from healing. Izuku woke up in his hospital bed, barely able to move as he slowly got back in from his little coma. At first, he thought he only slept a couple hours. When he looked out the window, the sun was still at the same spot he last saw it. So, it was a shock when the doctor told him he had been sleeping for over 24h and it was currently 1h in the afternoon. As he made his way out, he was greeted by Snipe, one of his teachers. It was clear UA made his security a priority if they were willing to post so many of their staff outside his room. The gunslinger quickly informed him about the situation. UA had closed down for a month. They were having an investigation about the leakage of information about the summer camp and were giving the student a break from it all. He also told him they went in the villain hideout at Kamino, but when the pro arrived, they couldn't find anything or anyone else, so they assumed the League would be going in hiding for a while. He also gives him a stack of homework left behind by Lita, as the school still expected the student to care about their grade even during the break. Izuku went to the hospital desk to get his final checkup before they officially gave him the go. The paperwork took almost 2 hours to complete, but in the end, he was finally free from the hospital, and except a lingering fatigue, he was feeling great. He took the time to text everyone he was finally out of the hospital, and he would be going home soon. As he walked his way home, he still had a creeping feeling of unease, the same you get when you go out of the house and wonder if you forgot to close the oven. He was forgetting something. The walk home took about 30 minutes. He removed his shoe at the door and went to reach the doorknob when suddenly, "In 2 days, meet me at the train station near Ue, promise me." Crap, he totally forgot his promise to Himiko. He had been stuck in the hospital for 2 days already, and he lost his sense of time. What if he was already late? She didn't specify an hour, maybe he had still time. "It's not like I have to go." Izuku, stop. Himiko was still a dangerous criminal who was trying to kill him and his friend not even 3 days ago. Maybe he could just tell his teacher and arrest her. It would be the best thing for him and her. "I won't be caged ever again." Her voice echoed in his mind. She sounded so pained. Was it truly the right thing for both of them? She was a villain. It's not like she should be allowed to roam free. What about those living in society left behind by a system who doesn't care about them? What about those stealing to feed their family and friends? What about the heroes selling their violence to the highest bidder for bigger profit and reputation? Are they villains? Now it was Spinner word ringing into his ear. He didn't know what to do, what the right answer was. Ignore? Go. Arrest her? Hey Izuku, did you mean it when you said we could be friend? Izuku removed his hand from the door and put on his red shoe. There is no reason to wait. He had already made his choice and just remembered it. Near the UA train station, Izuku didn't know what to expect. It took him about 40 minutes to make it to the train station. Looking at the clock, it was almost 5 p.m. He sat on a bench and looked around. The place was filled with people of all size and age coming or going to work. Looking for Toga here would be a hard task, even if he knew how she looked. It's not like she would be out in the open. She was still hiding from heroes after all. So he decided to wait. 5:15 p.m. And wait. 5:30 p.m. And wait. 5:45 p.m. The clock was nearing 6 o'clock, and he still couldn't see her. He was thinking maybe he missed her, maybe she already left. Looking left and right, he didn't catch a single Toga in almost an hour, so maybe he truly blew it. "Deku, is that you?" He turns his head toward the one that spoke to him and saw Uraraka. She was wearing a plain blue skirt and a black sleeveless blouse. She seemed surprised to see him here. "Am I just waiting for my T train?" He lied badly. "But what are you doing here? The school is closed." She replied sweetly, still confused of what he was doing here. He couldn't lie to save his life, so he was better be at least partially truthful. "I am waiting for someone." This didn't seem to clear out the confusion Ochako was experiencing. She was shifting in place, not sure what to do. "Who are you waiting for?" She sat down next to him, her face investigating the boy now red face. "JF friend," replied an embarrassed Izuku. Ochako was getting really close to him and he wasn't sure how to feel about that. Ochako suddenly went red, probably realizing how close she's gotten to her friend. She seemed to be contemplating something in her head, not sure if she should say it or not. "I was going to the mall. Do you want to hang out with me instead? It seemed you've been standing here for quite a while, and I could use the company while shopping." She seemed to be cheered at the prospect of having him hang out with him. Izuku wasn't sure. He didn't want to leave Himiko behind, but at the same time he was not even sure if she would come. Plus, passing some time alone with Ochako seemed like a really fun thing to do, a bit like a date. A date? Izuku was about to pass out at the idea of going on a date with such a cute girl. His mind went into overdrive trying to rationalize his situation. It wasn't a date. It's just a boy and a girl taking some quality time together. It totally sounds like a date. He felt steam rising in his body, unable to think of anything to change the subject. "If you don't want to, I understand." She sounded so dejected. Disappointed of him not coming with her. I accept." It took most of his courage just to speak right now. His mouth acted without his brain. Uraraka got up from the bench and went toward the mall next to the station. She tilts her head toward inviting him to follow her with her hand outstretched. Izuku was captivated by her in that moment. She was shining the ray of the golden sun, casting a strong glow on her pale skin, her beaming toothy smile, her permanently rosy cheek. He didn't even hesitate. He got up and followed her. The mall was a large multi-level edifice filled with about every store someone could think about, from clothing to fast food, even miniature wargaming. There was a shop for every hobbyist. They walked side by side, window shopping a bit, talking about school and heroes. Izuku stopped them at a comic shop where he saw in one of the vitrines a limited edition All Might comic. It was a rare find from his Silver Age, the comic adventure of All Might and Superman, the last comic from the old studio before they closed for good. It was one of the only crossover comics between heroes of old and the new one. He was suddenly very glad that Momo gave him all that money, as he spent about half of it on this single article. "You truly love All Might, Deku." Ochako chuckled at him. "Why, yeah, but who doesn't?" replied the awkward boy, rubbing the back of his head, still unsure if he should have spent so much on a single comic. "But you are like his biggest fan." I guess." Suddenly he saw her look behind him, her face lit up like a Christmas tree. He turned and saw a designer clothes shop, the very one owned by the top hero Best Jeanist. That was surprising. He didn't think she was into fashion at all. She was always complaining about money and how much everything cost. "Are you okay? I didn't know you were into fashion, Uraraka." He was still a bit perplexed by her reaction. "Yeah, I love it. Doesn't mean I buy it. It's just good sometime to fantasize about things you want even if they are out of reach," was her honest response. "I just hope one day I'll be able to buy a little something for myself." He wanted to help her. His friend was always here for him, and he felt bad for flaunting his money on a single-issued comic while all she can afford is to look at what she wants instead of buying it. "How about I buy you something from there as a treat for bringing Emmy here?" He choked a bit on his words, seeing how forward it would seem for him to buy her an expensive piece of clothing. It's not like he didn't want to help her. He was more afraid she would see it as him expecting in return. "Really, Deku?" Her eye seems to shine with renewed enthusiasm. Just the idea of owning something so frivolous, so unattainable made her heart skip a bit. She wanted nothing than to hug him with all her might at this moment, but she didn't want him to start second-guessing himself. So, in a jog, she grabbed his hand, dragging him toward the store. Her hand was soft. Inside they could see all the designer cloth in a mix of varying color and design. They were selling everything someone would need for any event: a pair of leather-bound shoes fit for a marriage, a red dress that would make a Momo in costume blush, a suit fit for CEO and lawyer. There was also streetwear, more affordable for client with a lesser budget but keeping a sense of style only designer could make. Izuku was looking at their graphic shirt, thinking if he should expand his sense of style further than white t-shirt with t-shirt written on them and All Might merch. He was quickly snapped out of it by a certain brunette grabbing him and sitting him down near the changing booth. "Stay here, I need your opinion on this." He couldn't respond before she vanished in on of the stall to go change. Then he realizes Uraraka was changing not even 10 feet away from him into something for him and only him to gawk at. "Breathe, Izuku. Breathe." Again, for what must have been the 5th time today, he felt all his blood rushing toward his cheeks. He took some long respiration, trying to calm himself. "It's not a date, you are just two friends hanging out. It's not a date, you What do you think?" Izuku lifted his head up, and what he saw make him forget about everything. She was wearing a black sleeveless dress that reached the middle of her thigh with two openings on each side of her hip, revealing a bit of skin. The top was held together by a collar wrapping around her neck. At her waist, a simple belt was hanging from her hips. She was beautiful. "It's from their bargain section, so it should not be too expensive." She rubbed her head, a bit embarrassed by the look he was giving her. "Do you like it?" Izuku wanted to say she was the most beautiful girl he had ever seen in his life, that he just couldn't describe her beauty with word. He was feeling hot. All of a sudden his classmate was right in front of him. She decides to give him a twirl, and then he saw it, the final nail in the coffin. The open back. Izuku. He was wake up by the feeling of water splash on his face. When he opens his eyes, he saw the face of a well-dressed middle-aged man sporting some impressive eyebrow. Ochako was right next to him, changed in her normal attire. "Are you all right, sir?" asked the manager. "Why, I'm feeling better," was the only thing Izuku responded. "Good, if you are ready to pay you can follow. If not, I would like you to leave our establishment." The man then turned his heel and walked back to the till. How long was I out? About 10 minutes, answered Uraraka. Don't worry, I packed what I wanted, so we are ready to go when you are ready to go. He decides that yes, right now was a good time to pay. He went to the cashier and paid another 50,000 yens, officially spending all the money Momo gave him in a single day. He didn't regret it when he saw the smile she had on her face. The rest of the day went about with no incident, and they finally realized it was time for them to separate. I had a fun day, Deku, said the gravity girl, walking him back to his station. We should do this again sometime. Why, yeah, it was fun. He saw her make a turn and followed her, thinking she was probably taking a shortcut through one of the alleys. Suddenly Ochako, who was walking in front of him, stopped. She didn't seem well, her shoulders slump a bit downward, and her attitude changed like she was nervous. Mizuku, that was weird, she never calls him that normally. She faced him, an unreadable expression on her face. When you said you were waiting for a friend, did you mean it? I feel bad for taking you out when you already had plans. Oh, Izuku had forgotten about it, that right, Toga. He never met her today, he probably missed her, and if not, he left her there alone. He felt a pit forming in his stomach, that feeling of shame was back in his gut. I think it's fine. I must have missed them by a couple hours already. You know, with the hospital and everything else. I had already waited an hour before I saw you, so don't beat yourself up over it. Yeah, I wasn't sure what you were doing, she started nervously twirling her hair. If I didn't show up, what would you have done? I don't know. Probably wait another hour. He chuckles. Really? Yeah, He looked at her, tears started forming in her eyes, it quickly turned into a full-blown cry as she let herself fall on the ground. He didn't know what he said, nor what he should do. So, he crouched near her and took her in his arms, gently patting her back, whispering, "It's okay." "I'm sorry, Izuku," she cried in his shoulder. It's okay, I'm here for you, Ok." Then he felt it. Her skin turns from healthy tone to a sickly goo slouching of her body like molten flesh. Her hair turning into the same substance her skin was. In seconds he saw the truth. In front of him stood Himiko, Toga still crying in his shoulder as the rest of her transformation finished. "I'm sorry, it thought you would not go with me, I'm sorry for doubting you." Izuku panicked but didn't let her go. If she was Toga, where was Ochako? She needed blood. What has she done to his friend? The worst crossed his mind. Was she dead, kidnapped? What about his other friend? Were they also in danger? Should he have told his teachers? What is she going to do now? He was brought back to reality when he felt his shirt being gripped. Toga was still crying, tears soaking his shirt. She repeated sorry again and again. He wasn't sure, one part wanted to interrogate her, another just wanted to let her cry and comfort her. He decides to compromise. Himiko, what have you done with Uraraka? His hand was stiff on her back, caressing it, fearing her response. And nothing, I used the B-blood I got from the sea camp. He let out a content sigh, at least nothing grave happened. But still, this whole situation was just embarrassing. Why did you take her F form? I was afraid. Then I saw you waiting for me, I got cold feet. I kept telling myself it wasn't real, that once you saw me you would regret your decision, that you would run away from me. She was still crying, hot tears into his shoulder. Well, I said I was late. Why, she sniffles, regaining a bit confidence. I was afraid you forgot all about me. I kind of did, huh? She looked at him, her face still red from the crying, but she was pouting at him this time. But I still see came. Don't judge me, I was at the hospital on painkiller. She let out a giggle, making Izuku instantly feel a little better about himself, his eye meet hers, golden one. She was still shaken, but she was getting better. He took this moment to get up and offer his hand. She gladly accepts it. Now on their feet, Izuku, though, about something. What about the dress? You and Ochako don't have the same figure, so it won't fit you. An image of Himiko in the same dress flashed him right in his brain. He did his best to stop thinking about it, but ultimately failed miserably. Don't worry, I pick a smaller size when you were pass out. She saw his face turned into a nice shade of red. A grin spread to hers. Wanna see? I'm fine, thank you very much. He went and turned around, combating the filthy tuff in his head. She laughs, so glad he didn't just ditch her here. When she revealed herself to him, she was still feeling bad about it. So, you kept your promise, you gave me a normal day, and we are friend. I guess that mean we go back our separate way? Why you mean? he was confused at her not sure to follow. Well, it's just like I said, you've done what you said you would do, so you have no need to hang with me anymore. She was feeling bad saying it, but she felt it was for the better. After all, he'll soon realize what happened and just go on ignoring this day as just another moment in his long life and go back being a hero. Well, it was true. If he wanted, he could cut contact with her right now and never see her again in his life. It would be for his best. But something about that felt wrong. I mean, friends hang out more than just once. She looked at him, taken by surprise. I guess we could do something else than shopping next time. What was he saying? Stop it, Izuku. And without a disguise this time. I would like that. A large blush crept onto her face, a warm feeling spreading around her stomach. They both stand next to one another, unsure of what else they should say to one another. The atmosphere shifted into something almost crushing for both, neither certain of what to do or say. I could give you my phone number in case we need to plan something. She finally breaks the silence, still blushing. Why, yeah, he was equally blushing. She quickly pulled out some paper and pen to write her number using the wall next to them as a hard surface to write on, then promptly gave it to him. As soon as it was done, she excuses herself and start running away, leaving behind a poor, confused and blushing Izuku. He had just gotten a girl phone number. He started walking toward his train, blushing all the way. It wasn't his first girl number, but still. His mom didn't count, the group chat also didn't count, and the only reason he has Uraraka phone number was because of a school project. This time a girl gave him her number with the express purpose of hanging out with him. He still wasn't sure about that whole situation, but today felt like a great day. Izuku apartment. As he was about to enter, he felt the doorknob turn in his hand and the door opening on its own. On the other side of the doorframe stood his mother, furious. Izuku Midoriya. Where were you, young man? I received your text you were coming home from the hospital just for you to disappear and come back 4 hours late. He didn't know what to say to his mom. Her fury was rare, but it was not to be played with. Not only that you left your bag in front of the door. You have some explaining to do about your purchase? He was confused at that. His purchase, he only bought the dress and the All Might comic today. What else was she referring? He looked past his mother, trying to make sense of what she was saying, when he spotted it. On the table was a gift box opened. That same Mineta gave to him at the hospital. Damn it. Izuku was in his bed, eyes fixed on his ceiling. He had a lot on his mind. It took a lot to convince his mother that he wasn't the one who bought the gift she found in his bag. In the end, she educated her boy better than this and just tossed it in the trash. A fact that made Izuku relieve, because he didn't want to know what the pervert bought specially for him. It wasn't Mineta gift that was keeping him awake right now, it was a certain golden-eye blonde with sharp teeth. Himiko suddenly barged into his life, shifting a lot of things he was sure wouldn't change. First, he was officially the friend of a villain, a fact that he still couldn't wrap his head around. If anybody learned this could ruin his hero career. He could even end up in prison as an accomplice or for not declaring her to the authorities. Second, he asked her to meet again, and it made him nervous. He wasn't sure why he did that. He could have said nothing and go on his way, but no, he had told her they should meet again. And now she was in his contact right next to Todoroki in his phone. What should they do? He wasn't exactly the most sociable person. He barely did any outing during the whole of his school year. He had no idea what friend do. Third and finally, he couldn't stop thinking about that diamond dress. Every time he closes his eyes, he just starts seeing images of Toga and Uraraka making subjective poses at him. So he was stuck here fixing the ceiling until he was too tired to stay awake. He didn't want to turn into a pervert like his classmate. His mind would stay pure. The poor green boy was doing his best to occupy his mind in this very long night. He already read the comics he bought. Not directly, as he didn't want to damage the collector item, but online, where he manages to find a crappy scan of the issue. The irony of reading a suboptimal version when he owns the genuine article, but such the life of a collector. As we were reading online about the hero's news of today, he realizes Himiko still didn't have his phone number, and a terrible realization dawned upon him. He would need to text a girl. He felt his eyes roll back in the back of his head in frustration as he hides his face in the palm of his hand. What was he supposed to say? A simple hi. Should he mention today? Ask her if she was wearing the drays? Stop it, brain. He groaned into his hands. Why was he so awkward all the time? The only moment he acts normal was when he was risking his life in dangerous situations, which was not normal. He opened his text box hovering over the digital keyboard, trying his best to find the perfect phrase to open a discussion. It took him about 30 minutes to find the perfect phrase, the opening of this conversation. Hey, Himiko, this is Izuku, perfect. Now the metaphorical ball was out of his court, he could fin. Hey Izu, I was wondering when you would text me, 3, and just like that the metaphorical ball was back with him. No, she wasn't supposed to respond so fast, she was supposed to be asleep so he could have the time to think about a response. Now he couldn't pretend he was sleeping, he had to improvise. Sorry. About that, it slips my mind. This is the second time you forget about me. I'm going to start taking offense in that. No, I didn't mean like that. I didn't forget about you. I just forgot to send the message. Oh, so you were thinking about me then, and so late as well. Not like that 8%. Yeah, Izuku wasn't the slickest person when it came to this kind of thing, dropping his phone right on his face at the last message. I'm glad about today, thank you again for this Izu XXX. Now she was sending him kisses, his cheeks took on a rosy complexion. So any idea about our next outing? Honestly absolutely no idea. I have no idea what friend do in their off day. Don't you have friends? Yes. What do you do when you're with them? Study. You need better friend. Lita and Ochako are good friends. Do you have other friends? Yes. Who? Todoroki and Kaken. Is that the one with the split hairdo and the raging bombastic blonde? Yes. You need better friend. She was probably right, but it was question for him to answer latter. Right now, he needed to find something to do. Think what could inspire him in his room. As he looked around, he checked his shelves and desk for any idea. All Might figurine, no. All Might hoodie, no. All Might comic, no. All Might rug, no. All Might poster. He got it. How about a movie? Yes, sound good. Had anything in mind? The cinema near me is posting a rerun of All Might vs. the Giant Ant Army 3 next week. Is everything you do related to that guy? She had no idea how right she was. It's a good movie. Okay, but I choose the next one. Deal, I'll text you the detail later. Good night Izuku. Night Himiko. With his last message he finally felt the call of sweet night, so he plugged in his phone, turned and finally closed his eye, falling asleep in his duvet, a satisfied smile at his lips. As she read the last of her message, Himiko did her best to find spot where she could sleep. She decided to settle in an abandoned house away from foot traffic. The place was run down and didn't have a bed, but at least she had a roof over her head, a luxury she's going to make sure to enjoy tonight. It was the first time she slept inside ever since she fled the League of Villains. Home sweet home, she remarked to herself. She tried using one of the faucets, but nothing came out. Same thing for her phone, no electricity, both had been cut probably long ago. She opened the door of what must have been the master bedroom. She found no thrash, a good sign since that meant nobody was living here at the time. She found a spot for her things, a bottle, some clothes, perfumes, her phone, and finally the piece of resistance, the dress Izuku bought her. She didn't lie to him when she said fashion was a passion of her. She truly loved wearing things like this. It helped her feeling prettier than she was and forget about her hard reality. Using a rag left behind, she did her best to wipe a corner of the room off the layer of dust that cover everything. She then used her clothes to form a makeshift pillow and laid down for the night, hugging her new dress very close to her chest. 1 week later. His week went fast. After all, he still had a ton of homework from school, and he wanted to clear them as fast as possible. He also was still recuperating from his injury, so if he doesn't count his first night home, sleeping early and waking up late wasn't a problem for him. Add into the mix some training and a sprinkle of text message from Himiko and his week was a blur. They talked about mostly the usual, what was she doing, what should they do next, the weather, favorite animal, Himiko was a cat person and Izuku a dog person, favorite colors, red-green, and other banality, learning about each other. But tonight was movie night. He told Toga the address and was waiting for her next to the cinema. He also told his mom he was going out with friends so she wouldn't panic if he came home late. He was wearing one of his usual white t-shirts with some shorts, looking around for Himiko. He felt a tap on his shoulder and stumbled right into Himiko, startled by her touch. As he turned his head, he was met by her face barely inches away from him. She was wearing a medical mask, the same some people wear on the train to not get sick. He couldn't see her mouth, but he could tell she was smiling by how she looked at him. Izuku quickly backed away, stuttering the best apology he could muster, but was cut by the sound her laughing. Seeing her like this helped him relax, and he chuckled a bit with her. It was weird how natural it seems to hang out with her. As he backed off, he noticed she was also wearing her usual cardigan and schoolgirl uniform. So Izuku, ready for the movie? She seemed excited. Not about the movie, mind you, more because she could hang out with someone for once. Twice was the only one she could actually hang around at the League of Villains, but it's not like she could bring him out in the open. He would be spotted a mile away. Why, yeah, I already bought the tickets. After all, he is the one who bring the idea of the movie. He would be rude to make her pay for it. And I got snacks. She lifted her shirt, revealing an assortment of sweets and a bit of skin. The green boy quickly turned red in the face at the accidental flash. BB, but the theater didn't allow outside food. He turned away from her, trying to hide his reaction. Loosen up a little, Aizen. It's not the worst thing I did. She rolled her eyes at his reaction. He was really a goody two-shoes to a fault. Let's go in, I don't want us to miss our movie. She ignored his protestation and grabbed his hand, pulling him inside the theater. Izuku quickly realized he couldn't argue with her about the rule, so decided to let it go. Inside, he went to the snack bar. She had brought enough for both, but he was more a popcorn kind of guy. He paid and followed Himiko to their screening, All Might vs. the Giant Ant Army 3. How did they manage to make 3 of those? She was still shocked about the existence of this movie. On one side of the poster was All Might in a yellow spandex with a smile on his face. On the other, some kind of ant people with what seemed like their queen over them, pointing indignantly at the hero. Well, he had signed to stars in 3 movies and the script were already out for a trilogy when he started filming the first one. He beamed, mistaking her question for interest. How do you know all there is about him? That should be impossible. I don't know everything, just the basic. He felt a twinge of judgment in her voice. The basic. His blood type. A height. 220 centimeters. Weight. 274 kilograms. In his prime now, he is closer to 255 kilograms. I need to find you a new hobby, she cited and walked in the room, defeated by the boy antics. What do you mean? He followed her in. As they went in their seat next to one another, Izuku looked around. The theater was almost empty except maybe 2 teens at the front laughing with each other and a dad and his son somewhere in the middle. Their seat was at the back, trying to not get attention on Toga. They watched a couple of ads about some sport drinks and insurance. Then the movie started. Himiko was right, this movie was god-awful. You'd think All Might would learn to act from interacting with so much reporter, but the man couldn't to save his life. Each of his lines were spoken as if he was reading them on the spot. Sometime if you paid enough attention, you could see his eyes go from left to right, literally reading. But she would be lying if she said she didn't like it. The movie had a vibe to it, seeing people take something so seriously yet being so bad at it made this movie go from a bad one to a good one. Martha, I failed you, said All Might, holding his mother. Love interest? This movie plot was so bad. She couldn't hold it in. It was too much for her, the movie being so bad it went around to being good again. Toga, it's a poignant scene, don't laugh, whispered Izuku. Was in deep the movie, drinking as much as he could. For someone so observant, he sure didn't pick up the fact this movie was bad. Hell, if you'd seen him, he would tell you how much of a cinematic masterpiece it was. Haha, her laughter faded. You can't be serious, this is the funniest thing I've ever seen. She wiped a tear from the corner of her eye from laughing so much. She went in to take some popcorn from Izuku's bucket, right as he went in for some too. Their hand brushed together. Izuku immediately jolted his hand out in reflex, apologizing as if he just cups a feel from her, his face visibly red even in the darkness of the room. Toga didn't mind as much. She quite enjoys it, to be honest. This little contact made her think, sure she asks him to be her friend, but she knew deep down she wanted more. She was infatuated by him. She loved him. She wanted to be him. Instinctually her other hand reached in her pocket, feeling the comforting cold from her blade, almost pulling it out. She wanted nothing else than sink the cold steel right in his heart and drink so much that she'd become him for the rest of time. As her mind wandered, she stops herself. What was wrong with her? It was the first time since they escaped that she felt the pull of her compulsion. Ever since she'd been with the boy, she was sure she was cured, but now it was apparent she was not. She couldn't escape from herself. She removed her hand from the blade and went back to the movie. The rest of it was still as funny as the rest, especially the final confrontation against the Ant Queen. The visual effects were not better than the script. How can you say that? Mumbled the girl. I thought you liked it because it was bad. Sure, the movie is rough around the edge, but still, responded the boy. As they continued their talk, the group of two teens exited the movie laughing their butts off. As they were leaving, one of them turned toward them. Holy Midoriya. Ah? He turned toward the teens, and who he saw made his skin crawl. Those two were the same boys hanging around Bakugo back in his hold school. Those who hold him down, those who tormented him. Been ages, man, said the larger man. Hey, we saw your fight at the festival. Crazy. He went right up to him, putting his arm around his shoulder as if they were buddy-buddy. Yeah, we didn't know you had a quirk. What the hell, man, it's crazy powerful, said the lanky one, getting closer. Izuku wanted nothing else than shrivel up and vanish right now. Even if they were friendly with him, he couldn't forget the hell he suffered back then. Sure, people change, and they might not be bullies anymore, but call it selfishness. He didn't want to ever see them again. It was a part of his life he left behind and didn't want to look back. Waiata got into UA with Katsuki. I bet he's still sad about that, right? Izuku, who are those? Himiko said, seeing how nervous he was around them, and she didn't like it one bit. Yo, Midoriya, is that your girlfriend? Said the tall one, pointing with his elongated finger. No, she is just a friend. Izuku was now fully embarrassed. Too much was happening at the same time. They are old friend, he answered her, clearly uncomfortable. Yeah, from way back, grinned the fat boy, tightening his hold on the green boy. Izuku clearly looked like he didn't like that as he flinched. Leave, was all she could say to them, the rest of her word too venomous to spit out. Whoa, we're just talk. Himiko had enough. She pushed past the one with the finger quirk and went right to the large one face. With a flick of the wrist, her blade was against his throat. He was clearly shocked as he let go of Izuku as soon as he felt the blade under his chin, color drained from his face, fear paralyzing him. Leave now, she growled the last word. Her face was contorted by the pure hatred she felt for both. Why's ma'am? They quickly scrambled out of the theater. Before anyone could see, she put her blade back into her pocket, her face switching from anger to joy as she turned toward her bow. Sorry about that. Where were we? She was met by the face of fear and concern from Izuku. He looked at her like she grew a second head. Himiko, why? His expression was gut-wrenching for her. She didn't know what to say. They made you uncomfortable. She looked down clearly. He thought what she did was wrong. She was feeling ashamed. Toga, you can't threaten people just because they make someone feel bad. He didn't want to think about it, but this interaction made him remember she truly was a villain. Someone who has no qualm about threatening, injuring, or even killing. How many, he wondered, how many did she killed? 2? What? None? He couldn't tell. His heart sank in his chest. He wants to help her, but does that mean letting a murderer free? Could she change? Let's get out of here. She walked toward the exit, her demeanor changed, losing her usual pep. Yeah, he simply said. Somewhere dark. Shigaraki was standing near his master, in one of the numerous warehouses he possesses. The only light being the soft purple glow coming from the numerous vats around them, each of them containing some sort of monster, Nomus. His plan didn't work. He lost most of his team for nothing, all because that Diamond Midoriya kid. He lost another member to treason, and if his mentor didn't pull him out of their hideout, they would have lost all their materials. All he could do was scratching the eternal itch he couldn't get. Don't worry, I'm here for you. You can try again whenever you want, it's just a question of time before you are ready again. Shigaraki, all for one, speak calmly. His tone had no hatred for the boy. He speaks and acts like a father supporting his son. It's that DMN boy fault. He keeps screwing me over. The young boy was throwing a tantrum, disintegrating various thing in the room. The side boss won't let get to the good part. And what will you do? Asked his mentor. I don't know. He fell to his knee defeated. This whole operation has been nothing but failure after failure. How is he supposed to kill All Might if he can't even get past one scrawny kid? A hand fell on his shoulder, comforting him. Failure is natural. We must learn from it, All for one said as a matter of fact. This Midoriya is getting to you, I can see it. What will you do about it? Shigaraki got up from his knee, tired of feeling so weak. He could do it with his team, they were still getting set up. Going after him himself was possible but too risky, a third party was needed. He raised his obstructed eye to his master. Do you have contact with assassins, master? All for one smiled. 3 days later, they had not spoken with each other since the cinema. Izuku was in his room doing some math homework, trying his best to ignore his phone. He wanted nothing else than to speak with her again. Somehow being away from her felt wrong. He already sent her message, but she didn't answer any of them. But she should threaten people because of me? Maybe this was his fault. If he had stood up for himself, she wouldn't had to intervened. If only he was a bit stronger, he could help her. He shook his head. No, that not it. Toga was always like this ever since the first day they met in that villain hideout. She even stabs him for crying out loud. He can't just trust her like this. He never should have offered to meet again in the first place. She was dangerous, she was a danger. And she was afraid. The green-haired boy threw his head backwards, slapping his hands as hard as he could into his face, trying to reason with himself in frustration. He was still caught between the two sides of him. His rational senses telling him this is all a bad idea, and he should just tell the authority and be done with it. And his hero side telling him everyone deserved to be safe. What could he do? He might now own one of the most powerful quirks in the world, but how does that help him with his new psychopathic friend? After all, he was just a boy, an awkward teenager, and this is not a problem he could simply punch away. He looked at his phone and found no new text from her. He started nibbling on the tip of his pencil. Did something maybe happen? She was still a criminal after all. Maybe a hero got her. Thinking of her behind bar did nothing to unstress him. Why was he like this? This was not normal. Himiko was taking all the place in his head. Her messy hair, her sharp smile, her golden hair. As he was busy stressing himself over the girl, he received a message. He darted to his phone hoping she was finally texting him back, but it wasn't her. Hey Deku. Mina invited everyone to the beach today. Are you still sore from the hospital? It was a text from Ochako. Maybe he should go and take a breather from all this. Truth be told, it stared taking a toll in his mind, and a day at the beach with his friend seemed like a good way to unwind. Yeah, sound fun, counts me in. Izuku finally arrived at the municipal beach. He could already see some of his classmates playing in the sand. He didn't bring anything more than what was necessary: sunscreen, some food, a towel, and his swimming trunk. Kirishima, Sito, and Kaminari were busy building the biggest sandcastle they could. Mina, Ochako, Momo, and Hagakure were sunbathing under the harsh ray of the sun. And finally, Tsuyu, Aoyama, and Jairu were already in the ocean playing in the water with a large volleyball. As he was going down the stair, he was greeted by Mina waving him over, giving him a wide smile. She was clearly happy to have more to the party. Midoriya, get your butt over here and make it a party already. There was also a speaker in the middle of the group blasting music as strong as the little device could afford. Hey, sorry if I'm late. He took a better look at the girls. Seeing them all dressed in their swimsuit brought some color to his cheeks. He quickly turned away, not wanting to act like a creep. Anyone else coming? Mina caught on the boy embarrassment but decided not to push him today. Not just us, we asked everyone in the class except Mineta, and the rest of them were busy today. So it's just us. I'm glad you had a speedy recovery. Ochako was doing her best Izuku impression and tried very hard not to stare at him. He was wearing his swimsuit and an open shirt revealing his chest and abs. What have you been doing these last days, Midoriya? Momo asked. Izuku didn't think about it, he was terrible at lying. What should he say? If he lied, they would know immediately. Oh, why no homework and workout? Good half-truth, he was not lying, just omitting the truth, totally different things. That's all? Man, you're boring. Come on, you must have done something else during this week. Grinned Mina, sensing he was hiding something. Izuku went pale, this wasn't going well, he needed to think fast. The boys are waving me over, let's talk later, okay bye. He quickly ran toward the group of boys. Their castle was doing well, almost as tall as him. As he ran away, the three girls started gossiping with each other. I'm not the only one that think he act weird, right? Mina wondered out loud. Todoroki said something similar at the hospital, answered the gravity girl, eyes still glued to the boy. I hope it's not something terrible. He seemed shocked when he asked him about what happened back then. You don't think the League did something to him? Momo said, concerned. Whatever it is, he don't seem to want to share. Mina let out a sigh, resigned about him. If they wanted to know, it would have to wait until he is ready. Anyway, enough about him. Ochako. She brunette was startled, letting go of the boy to set her eyes on her friend instead, blushing. When are you gonna confess to him, girl? It's obvious. Mina grinned, knowing she hit the nail on the head when her friend's face passed through 3 variants of red. She retreated into her hands, hiding from the world, embarrassed how quickly Mina caught on. I can't. What if he says no? True, her feeling for the boy was apparent, but she still wasn't sure about him, how he felt about her. Sure, he was blushing and stuttering near her, but he did that with every girl, it wasn't as clear-cut as she needed it to be. Come on, I'm pretty sure he had a crush on you ever since you stopped his face from meeting the pavement at the entrance exam, cheered Mina. Normally she wouldn't push her friend, but with what had happened she realized life's short, so go get it. You should tell him when class start back. Ochako could only blush harder as a response. Involuntarily activating her quirk, she started floating away. Lucky for her, Momo roped her in with a lasso she created, making sure she could not float any further. As she was floating, she thought about it, she liked him, Aoyama word during their fight against 13 was still fresh on her mind. And the sinking feeling she felt when he disappeared in the portal only just reaffirmed it. You're right. I know I am, Mina smirked at her as she was pulled down from the air by their friend. Now what are we going to do about it? Uraraka didn't understand what she meant. Duh. I'm not letting you do that alone, you need a plan, and I happen to be the greatest love matcher in this whole school, she triumphantly boasted. Mina knew if she put in the work, it was a question of weeks before the two of them finally confessed to one another. Once we're back at school, he'll be fawning over you when I'm done with you. Ochako couldn't help but let out a little shy smile as she imagines her and Deku together. He was brave, gentle, shy, and heroic. It's a miracle he wasn't nabbed by someone else by the time they met. She let out a long sigh, not so sure how she could muster the courage to ask him, but willing to try. Okay, Mina. I'm so happy. You won't regret it, beamed the pink girl. Izuku was busy helping the trio put the final touch on their sandcastle, trying his best to not topple the whole thing. Sito had used some of his tape to create some internal support for the structure, allowing them to make the towering monstrosity. Standing in front of them was less a sandcastle and more of a sand monument, standing a good 2 feet above the boys. He was standing on Kirishima's shoulder, trying to center the little flag Kaminari brought with him to complete the structure. As he was hunched over, he suddenly heard a "watch out," and was hit in his temple by a flying beach ball coming from the sea, sending both him and the red hair into the sand structure. Cry of indignation and protestation came, followed quickly by laughter and giggles. Vengeance was swift as Jiru had her leg pulled from under by Zero tapes, making her trip right into the sea. Tsuyu, not missing a beat, pulled the tape boy right into the water with her tongue, and the whole thing quickly turned into a play fight. Even the tanning trio was brought in when Momo shot Kaminari with a conjured water gun. The rest of the day passed like a blur. Izuku almost forgot his worries, until he went back for his towel. Next to it was its phone, and he had received a text. Izuku, can we meet at my place? I want to talk. Himiko had texted him, and he was too busy having fun with the rest of his friends to even answer her. The message was sent hours ago, adding to his guilt. He felt his stomach twist in a knot. Meeting her in a secluded area was not a good idea, not after the incident at the theater. Yet he couldn't ignore her. He had to make a choice. He was going to see what she wanted despite the risk. From behind, Ochako came jogging. "Hey Deku, we were going to eat at this sushi place Momo kept talking about. Are you coming?" She said, the bill's on her, clearly cheerful at the prospect of a free meal. "I'm sorry, I got to go." His tone was serious and somber. He didn't know what would happen there, but he knew he couldn't run away from it. She clearly saw his attitude change from the text. Did something happen? She was concerned about him. Lately he wasn't totally himself. It was like his head was always focused on something else, something important that he wasn't willing to share. "Nothing important. You go ahead with the other, don't worry about me." He feigned a smile. He felt so bad lying to his best friend, but this wasn't something he could share with anyone else. He had to do this alone. "Okay." She resigned. Clearly whatever he had was important. This feeling of dread in her chest persisted, like he was going somewhere dangerous. She wanted him to tell her what was happening, what he wouldn't share with anyone else. "Hey Deku, if you need anything we are here for you." "Sure." This time his smile was genuine. In all his life he couldn't ask for better friends. At the abandoned house. He was standing outside the address, unsure if that was the right place. This building was clearly abandoned and falling apart. The notice on the door made sure of that. Still, as he looked back at his phone, he was sure this was the place she gave him to meet. There was no light from inside and it was starting to get dark. Izuku had gone directly from the beach to her address, afraid if he took more time she might vanish and never come back. He got closer and knocked on the door. No answer. He waited for some reaction, a sound coming from the inside, anything, but none came. He started texting her again to make sure she had given him the right address when the door finally opened seemingly by itself. Nervously he stepped in and closed the door behind him. It was dark. The barred window barely let any light in from the narrow alley he came from, and none of the light switch he flicked did anything. As he was scouring the darkness for a sign of Himiko, he saw her. She was sitting in the stairs in front of the door, head hung low, smile absent and knife in hand. The knife brought him bad memory from their first encounter back at the League of Villain. He didn't know what to expect. Instinctually his body got ready for either fight or flight. Toga didn't move, only studying her reflection in the glistening blade, not daring to meet the eyes of her guest. Since the theater she had shut herself in self-reflection. "Thanks for coming," she flatly said. "Toga, what's this about? You said you wanted to talk?" He could hide the fear in his voice. Seeing her so lost with a weapon was dangerous to say the least. "See, can you drop the knife so we see?" "I'm a freak, I know that." He was cut off by her self-derogatory comment. "Ever since I found about my quirk, my life has been going nowhere but downhill." She still refused to meet his eyes. She knew he was terrified of her. She didn't want to confirm it. The reaction he gave her at the movie had been more than enough. Still standing near the doorway, Izuku slightly relaxed but kept his guard up. "What do you mean?" Concern was growing in his mind. "The day I found out my quirk was also the day I found an injured bird. He had broken his neck, and blood was pouring out, the poor thing." She frowned, not liking the vivid memory coming back from the depth of her mind. "Normal kids would have cried or tried to help, but you know what I did?" He shook his head. She didn't lift her eyes. "I drank his blood. Something in me compelled me to do it. And you know what the worst thing was?" He shook his head. She didn't lift her eyes. "It felt good, so good. I even showed it to my parent. You can imagine their reaction." She finally decided to raise her eyes to meet his. He was filled with shock and hers were filled with sadness. "It was the same you gave me at the movie theater when I pushed those bullies away." Her voice cracked a little under the rising sadness clumping in her chest. Tears started pooling at the corner of her eyes. Fear, terror, like I was a freak. "I am a freak." She couldn't hold it in. She started crying, not able to hold it in anymore. "I can't change Izuka. I just hurt everyone I care about. I'll just hurt you someday in the future like I always do." Still crying, she started shaking. "It was a mistake. I never should have tried to be normal. I'm not normal and I can't be your friend. So go. Run away before I kill you. I'm sorry." Izuku stood in the doorway looking at the broken girl in front of him. She was sobbing so hard she didn't realize the tip of her knife was poking her in the thigh, letting a small trickle of blood run along her leg. This was it. From the start he knew this was a bad idea, and now he was given an opportunity to go away consequence-free. He could go and never see her again in his life. He could live without the constant fear of being outed as a criminal for aiding a villain and murderer. He could just go back home. He could just study hard, graduate as a hero, and go on. He could just run away from this very problem right in front of him, this poor crying mess of a girl. He couldn't. Slowly Izuku made his way toward Toga. His step was firm, with no hesitation. When reached her, he crouched down to her level. She had rolled on herself into a ball of pure sadness. Finally, he did the single most important action he could in this moment as a hero. He hugged her. With all his might he hugged her, crying a little at the sight of her pouring out her heart at him. In his doubt. In his future. If he died trying to do the right thing, so be it. He was tired of second-guessing himself all the time. Now he would support her whatever she needed. Izuku Midoriya was born to be a great hero, and heroes save everyone. Himiko couldn't believe it. Izuku stood there hugging her even after seeing the knife, even after giving him the chance to walk away. Not only that he was crying for her, not even her parent cried for her. She couldn't take it anymore. She doubled down and hugged him back as hard as she could. Her hands were clinging at him, afraid that if she let him go, he would disappear. The knife she was holding tumbled gently on the wooden floor. They stood like this for a minute until both were able to calm themselves. As they finally parted ways, she looked at him, a weak but honest smile plastered on his face, eyes unsure but welcoming. And he looked at hers, mouth slightly agape, incredulous, and reddened eyes sad but hopeful. "I'm sorry, I didn't say much." Izuku chuckled, realizing he maybe said one phrase since he got here. "You're pardoned," she chuckled back, wiping away a tear away from her eye. Both chose to stay in silence. He decided to sit down next to her. They didn't want this peaceful moment to end just yet, comfortable standing against one another. But Izuku knew they didn't finish their conversation. They were one thing he needed to know, even if he didn't want to help her. "I'm sorry to ask this now of all time, but I need an answer, Himiko, an honest answer." He was apprehending her response, not sure if this was the time. "I know what you want to ask." "I'll answer, I swear." She wasn't thrilled about it either. This could be the moment he turned back on her, even after his display of trust. How many have you killed?" He finally asked the dreaded question, hoping for the best, knowing the worst was to come. "4," she answered, the pit in her stomach growing. This was it, the final test of their friendship. "Do you regret killing them?" Strangely, her answer didn't affect him as much as he expected. He thought he would be horrified, angry at her, but all he could think about was her feeling. He didn't know if that was normal, and he didn't pound her on it. Not all of them. 3 of them were crooks. Lowlife preying on others' lowlife. "I did what I had to do to survive, and I have no regret. It was them or me," she answered bluntly, not even remembering their name or their face. "And the last one?" Izuku inquired. "Saito." "He." The words choked in her throat, unable to say it without tearing up. "He was my first crush." Her heart was beating 1,000 rhythms per minute. It was as if he tried to rip itself away from her. "I never spoke to him directly. I wanted his blood. I wanted it so desperately that when I saw him bloodied and beaten on the ground one day, I couldn't resist it. It happened so fast I was unable to stop myself. I cut him and drank until someone finally spotted me. So, I ran and started living on the street alone." She cried some more. The feeling of shame still lingers in her chest. She never wanted to kill the boy, she just wanted him to share with her. Share his love, his life, his blood. Just like Izuku did. She couldn't help it. She turned herself toward the concerned boy and kissed him. Not on the lips, mind you, just a peck on his cheek. She was so glad to be able to share this with someone. Finally, a friend who won't turn her down. Someone deeply concerned about her. As he was too shocked to resist, she also took the liberty to wrap her arms around him, smiling gently. "Thank you for everything." Izuku suddenly remembered that he was an awkward mess and promptly started blushing and stuttering. A shame, he was doing so well. Happy to help. He took the news of her murders better than he thought he could. She was remorseful, not for every kill but it was a start. Plus, Izuku wasn't a total fool. When she said some people don't deserve to live, he believed her. Some story on the hero news he read late at night could incite in him a rage he didn't know he could muster. He didn't want to kill but he understood why one would. Another thing was gnawing at the back of his mind as he looked around the decrepit house. Himiko had been houseless ever since high school? He couldn't believe it. No one deserved to live like this and he wanted to help her. I was thinking. Have you been living here ever since we escaped? He asked. Well, took me 4 days to find it but it's a good start. Hell, it's the best place I've been since the League. She happily answered, not realizing how sad it sounded to her friend. I don't think you should stay here. I read on the door that this place was about to be demolished soon. He was nervous, knowing how his next phrase could be taken out of context, face already flushed red. You could stay at my PP place? His voice fizzled out. Taken aback by his proposition, Toga could only stare at him. Then a malicious smile crept on her face. She looked like a cat who had found a mouse. Oh, are you asking me to come sleep in your bed with you, Izuku? She leaned in as she pronounces the last word, her voice taking a sultry tone, hands wrapping around him. Us alone. Bed. She took delight in every word. And sleep on the sea couch? He quickly backed away on the verge of just dying from sheer embarrassment, becoming her 5th victim. Don't you live with your mom? How are you going to explain that to her? Miss Midoriya wouldn't be thrilled to have some murdered in her house. I'll say my room is hot, so I choose to sleep in the living room with the air conditioning. Aren't you the worst liar in the world? It was true, he couldn't lie. I'll sleep on the ground. This wonderful boy would give her the shirt on his back if she asked for it. She couldn't help but feel the heat rise to her face. Izuku was truly the greatest person she ever met in her life. Truly the love of her life. She tried to reach for the knife in her pocket but forgot she let it fall earlier on the ground. Thank you, Izuku, I accept. She need to be better for the both of them. League of Villain new hideout. Dabi was making sure the drink was all accounted for and Shigaraki was welcoming their new guest. In his hand, pinky up, a manila folder holding various information about the man in front of him. The two of them were sitting across one another. The man was a mess. Unkempt 5 o'clock shadow across his mug, tired eyes and a suit that hasn't been washed in ages. He was large but not bulky. His hand looked surprisingly soft for someone of his profession. The most garish thing about him was his smile. Every one of his teeth were replaced by diamond replica. Clearly he loved flaunting his wealth. So, what make you think you're fit to take this job? Shigaraki asked him to gauge his answer. Are you kidding me? He said, indignantly, feigning his shock. I think if you see my portfolio, you can see that by yourself. 2 kids should not be a problem for me. He took a shot from his glass, downing it with a satisfied sigh. One of those kids took down muscular. Shigaraki was still probing for a reaction. Don't put me in the same class as this muscle-bound idiot. The only thing he was good at was smashing weakling. Clearly, he was insulted to be grouped in the same category as the former lackey. I bet he wasn't even paid for his job. You're right, he only asked to kill as much as he desired. You see, an idiot, that's the difference between him and me. I know my worth. He flashed a smile at his maybe employer, giving him a good view at his diamond's teeth. So, what do you say, boss man? Do I get the job? The crusty man wasn't sure. His folders showed he had a good record of success, succeeding at least 24 assassinations on various hero and abled fighter. He wasn't a bottom feeder, killing only the weak, and he clearly wasn't afraid to go after the strong. How about a demonstration? Sure. Compress. Without warning, Compress unleashed 6 bullets in the back of the man's head from his revolver, each shot echoing within the room with a sickening beat. As the last bullet hit the man's head, all you could hear was the empty click of the empty gun. The man was standing in his chair, unharmed, each bullet at his feet. So, welcome aboard, he paused. What should I call you? The man grinned one last time. Diamond. Call me Diamond. This was nerve-wracking. Never in his life had he done something so risky. Something so dangerous. If caught, the punishment would be probably worse than death. Sneaking a girl into his bedroom. If his mom caught them, he was in for the count. No amount of apologizing could stop her fury. But for now, he had a plan. His apartment had a fire exit ladder near his window, so he just had to go up there and open it from the inside to let her in. Easy and simple, nothing could go wrong. They were standing outside of his apartment looking up at the third floor where he lived. The ladder was up and unreachable from where they were standing. Himiko looked up with him, confused on how they should proceed. Now what? I could go up there using my quirk and let the ladder down, responded the boy, analyzing his options. True, jumping that high for him was no problem, but if let the ladder down, the sound would be horrible. Clearly it hadn't been oiled in ages. He could already hear the loud squeal coming from the hinges. He could throw her. No, too risky. He could miss, it would make more noise, or even worse, it could injure her. He could look around for something for her to climb on, but it was unlikely he would find something so late. Maybe if he uses. Toga looked at him, muttering to himself, and got herself an idea. One way much fun than climbing a rusty old ladder. She backed off a bit, still locking eye with the muttering boy, and threw herself at him. Snapped out of his thought, Izuku acted fast, holding out his hand to catch the flying Toga incoming his way. What are you doing? In his panic, he caught her in a bridal pose, adding to his now rising embarrassment. This way you can jump up with me, Isaacon. She smiled, knowing the effect she was having on him, delighting in it. She wasn't wrong. Like this he could better gauge his power for his jump and easily jump on the steel balcony above without too much noise. So, trying to shorten this situation, he did just that, jumping high, damsel in hands, onto the ledge above and landed with minimal sound. Quickly he dropped his passenger, but not before she could wrap her arms around him, professing her appreciation for my hero. He made excuse, apologizing for holding her like that, as if he was the one that told her to jump in his arm, and let himself fall, telling her he would be back soon. Making his way the front door of the apartment, he used his key to open the first door. Climbing a flight of stairs, he finally reached his apartment door. If he was lucky, he could make it to his room without bumping into his mother. But destiny is a fickle mistress, and as he opened the door, he was met by the sight of his mother sitting in the couch, cup of tea in hand, waiting for him. And where were you, young man? She didn't seem to be too thrilled to see her son come back at such late hours. Izuku felt the weight of his world crash down on him at this very moment. I was at the beach with some friends, he stuttered the best way he could. The beach? This late? She didn't buy it. Clearly his son was hiding something from her. What kind of secret a boy his age could hide from his mother? Yes. This was the least sure yes in the history of yes. His mother squinted at him. She didn't like this, it seemed, ever since the incident. Her son closed, refusing to talk to her, and started being secretive. Izuku, you can tell me. I'm your mother. Her tone changed to a softer one. Clearly whatever those villains did to him has affected him deeply. She only wanted the best for him, even if that meant opening old wound for him. Ever since you were kidnapped, you started talking less and less with me, keeping secret from me. I'm concerned about you. She looked at him, her eyes showing deep concerns. It was true, everyone seemed concerned about him, and he had been brushing them away from him. Sure, this wasn't something he could openly talk about, but still. He must have everyone worried sick from his refusal to talk about what happened back then. They deserved at least a minimum of explanation. He let out a sigh, calming his nerve, and made his way next to his mother, sitting down, not daring to look her directly in the eyes. I'm fine, I swear it. It's just a lot happened back there, and it's been on my mind ever since. Tell me, Izuku, I'm here for you. Gently his mother put a hand on his shoulder, concerned about her boy as he opened. She could tell it took a lot for him to talk about it, and didn't want to rush him. He waits in his option. He couldn't tell her about Toga, at least directly, but maybe he could talk about it without the whole story. When I was captured by the League, I was interrogated. His mother's eyes immediately watered up, assuming the worst. What kind of torture had they done to him? Oh, my poor baby boy, what has they done to you? She started crying on him, hugging him tightly, in her head the worst situation playing out like a horror movie. And not like he quickly reassured his mother, knowing what must have been going on inside her head. They did rough me up a bit, but this is not what I've been thinking about. She calmed down. At least he wasn't horrifically torture. She could put this thought to rest. What is on your mind then? Well, he didn't know how to phrase it properly. Do you think all villains are beyond saving? This came as a shock for Inko. Never she would have guessed after being kidnapped her son would develop empathies for his captors. A lot of things went in her mind. Was he affected by a mind-changing quirk? What has he heard back there? Honestly, she didn't have a good answer to give him. I think. She started, unable to put her thoughts into a coherent phrase. I don't know, Izuku. He didn't expect her to have an answer. This was something for him to determine. After all, he was the one training to be a hero. Gently he turned toward her, taking her in an embrace, holding her tightly. Thank you, Mom, for being concerned. I'll try to be more open in the future about my feeling. That's all I ask. Returning her son hug, she closed her eye, taking time to enjoy her mother-son bonding time. He didn't spill much, but that was progress, and she could live with it. She was happy for him to open up about his feeling little by little with her. It made her feel special. If you are hungry, there is leftover in the fridge. That was not a surprise. They still hadn't finished all the food Inko had stress cooked while he was kidnapped, even if some of it were nabbed by the hospital staff, leaving behind notes about how thankful and sorry they were from picking from it. Seemed like the cafeteria wasn't too good there if employee resolves themselves to plunder a left-behind fridge. It took them 3 days for them to send it back. The boy sincerely smiled at his mother, glad to have such a caring parent in his life. Thanks, Mom. He then remembered he had a waiting guest at his window, and it would be better to not make her wait too long. I'm good for tonight. I'm just going to my room, he let out a bit nervously. Quickly he made his way toward his door, sneaking in and closing the door behind him. Normally he never locks his door in case his mother needed to take his laundry, but tonight was an exception. The last thing he wished was for his mother to see him sneak a girl inside. He could never explain it to her, not after the gift she found in his bag. Izuku made his way to the window, unlatching it and sliding it open. As he peeked over the ledge, he saw Himiko waiting right next to it, a cunning smile on her lips. You can come in, my mom should not barge in the rest of the night. She hoped the frame with grace, barely making a noise as she landed, but nothing could have prepared her for the interior. All might. She punctuated every one of her word as to make sure what she was seeing was real. Izuku was not just a hero otaku. He was a Gotham cultist when it came to All Might memorabilia. His floor, All Might. His wall, All Might. His bed, All Might. Not a single inch of this room wasn't placated with the face of the #1 hero. Izuku, I need to find you a new hobby, now. She was still trying to find one thing without the grinning hero on it, and was failing. It's not that bad. The boy tried defending himself and his collection. After all, most of those were precious collector items. It's not like all of it was junks. Izuku, I was there when I saw you spent 50,000 yens on a single issued comic. She deadpanned, unsure of how he could explain to her his obsession. He didn't know how to retort to that, so deflection it is. I spent the same on your D-dress too. Goddammit, why did he mention the dress? He had finally forgotten about it. Now sleeping is going to be nigh impossible for him tonight. He just hoped she wouldn't tease him about it. Poor, naive Izuku. Teasing him was one of the best things she did, and she caught on how red he was turning. Her smile grew even wider. If you want to, her tone turned suave, leaning in. I brought it here. I could wear it if you ask nicely. She was standing next to him, breathing hot air down his neck. Teasing him was too easy. I'm fine, thank you. He didn't mean to yell, but he couldn't regulate his voice in time. From outside he could hear the footstep of his mother coming closer. Izuku, are you okay in there? Why yeah, I just thought you were asking me a Q question. I must have heard something else. He had to learn to lie if he hopes to survive any social life going forward. Okay, sweetie, remember I'm here for you. She relented, knowing she had pushed him far enough for tonight. Thanks. As the steps of his mother got farther and farther, he allowed himself to breathe again, taking in large gasps of air, trying to calm himself from having a heart attack. Your mom seems nice, was the simple retort of Himiko, still unfazed by what just happened. She truly is. He couldn't hide the smile as he mentioned his mother. Now calmed a little, he turned toward his guest. Why, you can have the bed. I have an air mattress in my closet that I can take with some extra duvet. He had difficult time to maintain eye contact with her. After all, she was a girl. A girl? Izuku have a girl in his room, alone and without parent supervision. He turned around trying to hide his face from her, afraid of where his thought would go if he tried to look at her directly. Himiko, on her part, past the awkward Deku, couldn't believe it. A bed, a real, fluffy bed. Not one of those spring traps back at the league, but an actual normal bed, a luxury she almost forgotten about. Ever since she was on the run, her sleeping spots consisted in bench, underway bridge, abandoned house and warehouse. For her, this bed almost looked unreal. She made her way toward it, sitting gently on the ledge as if afraid it was nothing more than her imagination. When she felt the soft support underneath her, she let herself sink into it, body and mind at peace. She stretched herself laying in it, making sure her every limb touched every part of it as much as she could. She didn't even mind the all-might pillow she was hugging tightly in her chest. Just laying there, she felt years of stress melt away from her body and could already feel sleep overtaking her in its sweet arm. Being gone so long from a home, one she felt safe inside, she'd forgotten how good it felt. As he regained a semblance of courage, Izuku turned around to find Himiko already sleeping, her body over all the blankets. She looked dead tired. He made his way near her and as gently as he could tucked her in, making sure she was comfortable. He sat near her, looking at her peaceful expression on her face, lips slightly parted. He could see her chest rising from under the blanket, steady and calm. He couldn't help it but smile, feeling he had done the right thing. There was still one last thing on his mind, something he still didn't know what to do with. The kiss. The little kiss she gave him on his cheek back at the abandoned house. Something felt right. He couldn't help but feel thousands of butterfly inside of him when he touched his cheek, remembering her sweet lips gently touching him. Was it? No, couldn't be. He looked down at her, sleeping, feeling a lump in his chest. Unsure, he looked right and left to make sure they were truly alone in his room. He then listened if his mother was still up outside, but he couldn't hear anything and the light were off. He couldn't see light from underneath his door. He looked one last time around, making absolutely sure he was alone. He leaned in near her face and gently kissed her good night on the head. His heart was now going 1,000 beats per minute in his chest. He didn't know what he should make of this, but somehow it felt good, and when he saw her rolled in his bed, a satisfied smile on her lips, he smiled back happy. He went to his closet and without a sound pulled the air mattress out of it. It took him a good 30 minutes to pump it without the risk of waking anyone, but now he could finally lay down and go to sleep, thousands of little butterflies still swimming in his chest. That the moment he saw it, sprawled on the floor right in front of him, taunting him, spilled from her bag. The dress. God damn it! This was going to be another long night for poor Izuku. Toga slowly opened her eyes. She was feeling well. This night was the most comfortable she'd ever been since running away. The first thing she saw was the all-might clock showing 7h35 am. She couldn't help but smile at her situation. She was inside Izuku's room. The wonderful boy that saved her. She could not be anything else than happy right now. Taking her time to stretch herself awake, she took a second look at his bedroom, now bathed in sunshine coming from the window. All-might merchandise was his only sense of decoration, but she didn't mind. What if he was a little weird? She wasn't better anyway. As her grogginess slowly faded, she leaned out off the ledge of the bed and saw below her Izuku. He was sleeping, not a care in the world, sprawling himself as much as he could on the single air mattress. His freckled face peacefully snoring, his mossy hair was a mess. She couldn't help but fawn a bit over him. He had been nothing but lovable ever since their fated meeting. She precariously made her way out of the bed, letting herself slide down onto the floor below. She made sure not to wake him up as she slowly lifted his bedding, sneaking into them, creeping herself ever closer to him. In his sleep he turned on his side, opposite to Himiko, letting just enough space for her to squeeze herself near him. Now inches away from her lover, she tentatively slips one of her arms underneath the crook of his neck while the other one gently lay on his side, spooning him in a loving embrace. When she saw no protestation on his part, she closed the gap between their body, feeling his hard back on her chest. He was wearing a t-shirt still. She could feel the heat radiating from him, a pleasant heat, the kind someone seeks during a cold night alone. She could feel herself growing bolder and bolder as a weak escaped his lips, unconsciously in his sleep. Her own heat spreading across his whole body, her emotion rising from being so close to him. With her hands she pulled him closer to her, hugging him tightly from the back, earning her another sleepy from him. She snuck her face into the crook of his neck, taking in his smell. He had still the salty smell of the sea from yesterday, but also pomegranate from his shampoo, her favorite. Still not waking up, she continued her exploration of the boy, her hand slipping into his shirt, gliding on the smooth skin of his stomach, feeling every bump of his well-toned body. The other was ruffling his hair, kneading his scalp, trying to get more and more sweet noise from him. Her lips, centimeter from his neck, wanted nothing more than reach him, leaving trail of kisses all over him, but was interrupted by someone jolting the doorknobs of the room. "Izuku, are you up? Why is your door locked?" She jumped, stopped from going further. Luckily, he didn't wake up. She had to act fast. His mom was just outside and was waiting for an answer. She could wake him, but he couldn't lie to save his life. Maybe if she got out the window now? No, he still had an explanation to give his mother. Then an idea struck her. "Izuku." Inko was worried. Never in her life had her son locked his door, not when he came back from that awful League of Villains hideout. Something was wrong and she knew it. She had the key in her drawer to his room and was seriously considering using it to check on her boy when suddenly, a sharp cry came from the other side of the door. Now Inko had officially entered panic mode and was making her way toward her drawer so she could open his door, but was stopped when the door opened on its own. "Why yes." Izuku poked his head out of the door, sheepishly greeting his mother on the other side. Inko was reassured but still on edge to see her son. "Izuku, what happened? I heard a yelp. Are you in pain?" "Ah, this is sorry." He poked a little bit more out of the door, shirtless. "You wake me up and I kind of fell out of the bed, sorry." He rubbed the back of his head, shamed by his early morning wake-up call. He quickly regained his composure. "What did you need from my room?" "Oh, I just wanted to wash your clothes before leaving for some errands." She still felt something was weird, but one thing was sure: her son wasn't lying. He was like an open book when it came to lies, unable to hide them from anyone. Izuku smiled at his mother, a carefree smile. "Don't worry, you can go. I can put them in the wash by myself." She was happy to see him so relaxed. At least their conversation from yesterday didn't push him away. "Alright, love you, honey." "Love you too, mum." A weird reaction when he said that, but she just thought his abrupt wake-up shook him a bit more than normal. She took her bags and got out without a fuss. Izuku's wake-up was all but smooth. He was having a wonderful dream that he couldn't remember, just the feeling of soft caress all over him. And then suddenly a sharp pain in his neck. He opened his eyes in time to see Himiko sink her sharp fangs into his neck, drawing out blood. He couldn't even react before she made her way toward the door, throwing her cardigan and top on the floor, her skin melting into his. He stood there, shocked, as he listened to the conversation between her and his mother. This feeling of hearing himself talk without talking was surreal. He felt like an observer in his own life. When he heard the front door closing, he looked as she came back toward him, letting out a sigh of relief. "Fiwi, I thought your mom was going to get us for sure." The shirtless him sat beside him. Toga, what was teeth? Izuku was still holding his neck. He wasn't bleeding profusely, but there was still a trickle of it coming out. The other Izuku seemed captivated by the display of flowing blood, but snapped out of it quickly enough. "Someone had to answer your door and you're a terrible liar." She grinned through his skin. I mean, he couldn't argue. If he had answered, her mom would have known and barged in. He closed his eye, resigned. "Yeah, you're right. Now let's get up. I want to take a shower before your mom come back." She stood up, offering his hand to get up. "Also, we should bandage your wound." "Sorry about that." Izuku couldn't help but smirk as he looked at himself, offering him his hand. He graciously accepts it. As he was standing up, he could see the skin of his body double falling off, revealing bit by bit Toga more feminine body. A topless feminine body. Izuku managed to, accidentally, get a good look at her and promptly fainted, right on the air mattress. If the dress was haunting him, this was going to kill him by sleep deprivation. Himiko couldn't help but laugh at his whole situation and made her way toward their medicine cabinet, grabbing enough gauze for his shoulder and nostrils. He waked up a few minutes later, still on the air mattress. Good, this was all a dream. For a second, he thought he ogled Himiko be for real. His hand reached his tense shoulder, feeling the freshly applied gauze on his neck wound. This was all real. Crimson rise to his face as a vivid memory of a topless Toga came back instantly. At least he didn't faint this time. He couldn't believe this had happened for real. What will she think of him? Was he turning into a pervert like Mineta? I need some food. Anything else to distract myself? He walked into the common room reaching for the fridge when his ear perked up at an unusual sound coming from the bathroom, the sound of flowing water. This wasn't weird in itself, but if his mom was not here, that could only mean one thing. Himiko was naked taking a shower not 15 feet away from him. This was worse than the time she was changing into the robe back at the store. And now he had both a naked Himiko and a well-dressed Uraraka flashing in his head. Izuku didn't panic. He simply opened the door to the fridge, took out the butter and the bread from it, and closed the door 12 times onto his head. Pain would make him forget. Pain would make him pure. After giving himself a concussion, he was starting to feel a little better. He had managed to replace the CC girls in his head by stars and black spot. Way better? Swaying left and right, he managed to put 2 pieces of bread into the toaster, the ringing in his ear stopping him from hearing when the water stops. When the door opened, he heard it and made the terrible decision to look, still dazed by his previous therapy. Stepping out of it, Himiko Toga, wet inside a large white towel, finishing to dry her hair. Hey, can you fetch me my clothes? I left them in your room. The toast wasn't the only thing that rose up, and for the second time in less than 1 hour, Izuku fainted. When he waked up for the 3rd time today, he was greeted by his friend eating his buttered toast, dressed, as he was standing on the couch in the living room. Hey, you're finally awake. At least he wasn't in a wagon. Wah. He stopped himself, knowing whatever happened, he probably should do his best to forget about it. Never mind, did you made me some? Questioning her about his toast. Himiko shrugged. Nah, I didn't know when you'll wake up and your toasts were growing cold, she said, taking a bite. So, what's on the agenda today? Izuku pondered. They didn't have any plan for today. He was stunned on what to do. Don't know, today is a rest day for me anyway. Himiko, finishing her toasts, raised her eyebrows in realization. Her whole mood brightens. I know. There's a cafe that opened at the mall not long ago. We could go get some breakfast there. Izuku looked at her. You already ate mine? Hey, I'm always hungry. Especially when you are the one offering. A smug look of superiority spread to her face. He pet his head at her answer, confused by what she meant. Why do you assume I'm the one paying? Well, it's only fair after all. She shrunk on herself, mocking to cover her taking feigned offense at him. You're the one that been ogling me all morning. She blushed, not mentioning her exploration of her own. Confusion was quickly replaced by panic and embarrassment in the boy face. OKISW was the mumbled phrase he managed to get out. Good. Later at the mall, Izuku and Himiko were walking side by side, hidden in the sea of peoples going from one place to another. No one seemed to give them any attention outside of a swerve to the right or to the left. They were free to enjoy their day as much as they could. The boy had left a message to his mother telling her he was going out. As they got closer to the spot Himiko mentioned, she took to the front of him, guiding him through the various corners of the mall, landing them right at their destination. Wild Pussycat Cafe. Izuku didn't know what to expect, but clearly not that. I didn't know the Pussycat opened a store here. He also couldn't hide his amazement about anything vaguely hero-related. I thought they only had the one in Tokyo. He couldn't believe this little tidbit got past him. But on the other hand, it feels a little weird to go in with one of the villains responsible for the loss of quirk of one of their members. Ragdoll had been found soon after him unharmed, but her quirk was clearly missing with no explanation. Himiko on her part was happy her idea was so well received. I heard every cat in the cafe are rescued from the street. She couldn't hide her enthusiasm after all those cats and her share a lot of similarity, both rescued and willing to bite if something annoy them. Clearly cats were the superior animal. As they walked in, they were greeted by a blonde girl in an outfit similar to the rest of the Pussycat troupe. Welcome to the Wild Pussycat Cafe. Follow me, I'll bring you over to your table. The girl had high energy and even posed similarly to the real wild pussycats. Izuku couldn't hide his fanboyism showing. Himiko was too busy scratching the chin of the orange cat near the register to care. They were seated in a corner booth near the front glass. As they sat down, their waitress gave them a menu, plus a card with various toys or treat they could buy for the cats. The place was decently packed since they were making their debut here in Mizudafu. One lazy cat was lounging on their table. Izuku wasn't really a cat person. He found it hard to create link with them. Most of the cat he met in his life hissed or scratched at him. It was weird when one of them, a blonde short hair, came rubbing on him. Hey buddy. With a shaky hand he tried to pet the cat but got slapped away by its paw. Taken aback, he yelped and brought back his hand in fear of scratches. Himiko couldn't hold her giggle at this misplay of affection, 1 second rubbing on him, the other scratching him. Cats were the best. It's because you don't have enough confidence, she said, looking at the cat lounging on their table, stretching itself. What do you mean? Izuku was confused about her statement. It wasn't as if they could sniff his confidence, can they? Cats are fickle creatures, and they don't like uncertainty. She brought a shaking hand near the cat on the table, earning herself a hiss from the old cat. Once you show them kindness and hold it true, they quickly learn to trust you. She steadied her hand, reaching a second time for the cat. This time he sniffed and started rubbing himself on her, purring loudly. Izuku tried imitating her with the cat next to him. He reached out hands steadier than the first time, holding it in front of the cat. The cat got closer, sniffing at his appendage, and with no warning bit him lightly. Ouch! Toga laughs as he brought his hand back for a second time. She was still scratching the old cat while doing so. Some of them are just little imp. Good to know. He watched the cat next to him make his way toward another table, one with treats. You should learn to stand more for yourself, Himiko said, now looking at him, a loving expression in her eyes. Izuku was taken aback, trying to hold her gaze but unable to. Something in the way she looked at him made him feel weird. Sorry, he didn't know what to say to her. He didn't even know where that came from. Izuku, why didn't you push those guys away back at the movie? She leaned in as she asked her question, her face taking a more serious expression. He was strong, brave, and the whole 9 yards when it came to saving people, yet he couldn't stand for himself against high school bullies. You could have easily dealt with them. Izuku sunk in, his lips turning inward as he now understands what she meant. A visible discomfort now present on his face. I didn't want to hurt them. His eyes stayed glued on the floor. You didn't have to hurt them, you could have told them to stop. She pursued him, making sure he wouldn't dodge her question. He had done so much for her, it was time for her to help him. I've seen you break your arm during the festival just to motivate someone, yet you can't say no to bullies? Izuku stammered. He tried to give a reason, but word just didn't want to come out. He was cut off by Himiko. Izuku, she reached across the table past the cat sleeping on it, taking in his hand into her own. He blushed but lifted his eye to meet hers. You are the most wonderful person I've ever met and probably ever meet. You are worth so much more than what you think you are. For a second his heart skipped a beat, and time was suspended for the both of them. His green eyes lost deep into her golden one. His face lost all the negatives, emotion that was troubling him replaced by a grand admiration in the words of hers. I'll try. She smiled, a beautiful smile, sharp, sweet, loving. He was truly lost in her for a second. What will it be? Their waitress was back. I'll take the pomegranate pancake, cheered Himiko as if they didn't go through some deep connection just a second ago. He closed his eyes, slapping himself with both hands, trying to regain a semblance of control over himself. I'll take the bacon and eggs. Any treat for our furry friends? As she asked, she slid a pose. Clearly the pay must be good if she was willing to go above and beyond with her presentation. Nah, we're good. I'm a natural with cats, she said as she was rubbing the belly of the old cat on the table, the most dangerous place on earth for any hands. The girl quickly took their menu and made her way toward the kitchen. The rest of their breakfast went about with no problem to speak of. Izuku devoured his plate as he still didn't have a breakfast, and Himiko gently sliced through her pancake, enjoying the exuberant amount of them. She even shared one with the boy as compensation for his morning toast. Izuku also managed to, pet a cat. A kitten that was looking for a play partner and decide the green boy would be it. So, the boy played with him, roughing him up with his hand, earning himself a minimum amount of play bites. Once he had paid for both, They decided to pass the day the same way as their first one together, without the fake skin this time, and no dress. Talking, laughing, and sharing a great time together. They were having so much fun they didn't see the man trailing them. He was large, his chin covered by a subtle stubble, and was wearing a dirty suit, yet his diamond teeth were unmistakable. "Found you," he grinned. Izuku and Toga escapade continued throughout the day, taking their time to enjoy everything they didn't the first time. Together they tasted ice creams and other free samples they could get their hands on. Until they reached somewhere neither of them ever tried. The arcade. Izuku looked nervous standing in front of the large colorful store. Inside they could see game going from shooter to VR experience. "You sure you want to go? I'm not that good at those game." He never had the chance to go inside when he was little because of his lack of friends. It would have been weird for him to hang out with no one. Instead, he took up hero analysis as a hobby, something he could easily do alone far from his classmates. Most people would say taking note as a hobby is weird in itself, but for Izuku it was more than just a hobby. This was the thing that motivated him to wake up in the morning. If he didn't do it, he could not have managed to stay alone during all his time in his old school. Me neither. But sometime the fun is in just trying. Toga stood near him looking at the various activity. She also never went inside one of those, not because of the lack of friend in middle school. She had a couple despite her condition. It was because it was one of the rare things she didn't want to try. A place filled with sweaty teenage boy and kids with their disinterested parent wasn't her definition of fun. But today was different. She was with Izuku. She wanted to do new thing with him, create memory together, learn all there is about the boy. Izuku, wonderful Izuku, she wanted him closer to her. She caught on his reaction inside the cafe when she grabbed his hands. She could literally feel the love he poured directly into her from his gaze. Something was shifting inside of him. She needed to push him a bit further. "Don't worry, I'll pay my fair share this time. It will be fun." He still hesitated, but when he saw her puppy dog eyes, he cited no way in hell could he say no to her right now. "Okay, let's go. I just hope I don't embarrass myself too much." With a defeated look he was pulled by the hand inside. And embarrass himself Izuku did. For a hero in training, his eye-hands coordination was atrocious. He couldn't win a single game even if he tried, and God did he tried. The skee-ball machine, he managed to sink one out of the 20 ball he was given, inside another machine. The whack-a-villain, atrocious, actually hurt himself trying to hit one of the targets. Shooters, he found a way to tangled himself in the wire linked to his gun. Fighting game, Toga 6, Izuku 0. He was so bad he could cry right now. The only things positive was the reaction he was getting from his friend. Any mess up she would giggle. Any loss she would cheer him up with a hug. She was right. The fun was in trying, and overall, he was having a nice day with Himiko, trying things he could never do by himself. Just being with her, he feels more confident, more assured in himself. He even stops stuttering when she teased him. He couldn't help but see all the positive influence she was having on him. But that wasn't all. He didn't just feels confident around her, he feels good. He enjoyed seeing her happy, seeing her smile. Her messy hair, her golden eyes, everything about her was grabbing his attention. Sometimes he had to stop himself from gazing at her. He wished he could pass every day in her company. Somewhere near in the arcade, a little boy was playing at one of the many video games the establishment offer. He was so distracted he failed to see his mother get outside for a phone call. He was currently playing one of the fighting games against the AI, and it wasn't going so good for him. He knew this was his last life, and his mom told him no more money for game after this one, so he had to win. He unleashed a terrible combo onto his adversary, the final boss of the machine, All Might. He was playing his favorite hero power loader, and his life was terribly low. Mashing buttons and jolting his joystick, he got closer and closer to victory. One last hit, and he'd win. It's time for Plus Ultra. No, All Might's special move. With a smash he was defeated and now had to go home with his mom. He was frustrated. He was one hit away. So, defeated, he didn't see the old guy sit right next to him. "What's the matter, kid, you lost?" "Wait. I was so close too." His mom told him not to talk to strangers. He should probably go get her. "How about I pay you another game, kid?" He looks up at the man, stars in his eyes. "One more chance." "You mean it?" The kid couldn't hold his excitement. He finally got close to beat All Might and now he could win, he knew it. He just needed another chance. Sure, but let me tell you a secret. The older man leaned in, making sure no one else was listening. This machine is whacked, the controller always loose. He shakes the controller violently to prove his point. The kid looked as the joystick loosely rattled in its socket. Weird, it seemed fine when he was using it earlier. If you want to win you have to use the one in the back. He pointed behind him. In a corner stood another All Might All-Stars, the game he was playing. All the best high score are on this one. He put a hand on his shoulder, motivating him to go try his luck at the other machine, putting in his front pocket some loose changes. He then stood up and walked away toward one of the pachinko machines. His mom told him he shouldn't listen to stranger, but it's not like he was following him. What the harm in one more game? I can't believe you managed to soak yourself at the balloon game. Himiko laughed. Next to him Izuku was soaked from his shoulder up, trying his best to dry himself with one of the towels the employee gave him. How was I supposed to know it was facing the wrong way? Protested Izuku, stifling his own laugh at his ridiculous situation. Come on, you can't be bad at everything. Let's keep looking, Izuku-in. She ran ahead of him, looking for a game none of them had tried already. The only thing left was the claw machine. She was afraid he would find a way to stuck himself inside of it with his luck. The other game was perfect. I've found something here, Izuku-in. She loudly called him, waiting for him to pass through the wall of people that was walking around. When he finally saw what she was pointing, he quickly turned away. No Pinope, he thought to himself. He was promptly stopped by his partner when she grabbed his hand and pulled him toward the feared game. Dance Dance Mania 3. Ain't no way this wasn't ending terribly for him if he tried to play a rhythm game. He just knew if he tries to stand on it, he would find a way to broke both his ankle at the same time. This wasn't a game, this was death trap. Come on, Izuku, insisted the blonde, clearly anticipating a great time for her. Clearly, he was feeling bad about losing so much today, but she couldn't help it. This was some of the best fun she had in a long time. It's the last time I make you play a game, I swear. If you do it, I'll pay for lunch. The sudden reward for his participation made him turn his head toward her. He wasn't poor per se, but he had been paying for a lot of things since he met her. His wallet, even with the earlier gracious donation from Yaoyorozu, was starting to feel lighter and lighter. He allowed himself to be pulled toward the dance pad. Himiko took place beside him on another dance pad. Since I drag you here, you can choose the song. Izuku looked at the repertoire, recognizing basically none of them, except one or two from Deep Dope. He had been listening to the CD Jiru had gave him back at the hospital during his workout. Otherwise, all the song was a mix of pop and dubstep, not his favorite. Then he saw a song he never heard before, and listening to the preview told himself this was the one. You say run. He missed the detail on the side that was flashing in red. Expert. The start was slow and surprisingly his feet didn't fail him yet. Then the song started for real. Himiko tried to keep up with the arrow but ultimately succumbed to the exuberant number of them. And this song is impossible. She shrugged and turned toward Izuku, probably already on his but after the first 30 seconds. But what she saw made her jaw drop. He wasn't on his butt. He was moving faster than she was with grace, his eyes on the screen hitting one note after another. His face had the same determination he showed when he was fighting, his mouth twisted in a confident grin. It was as if he was in trance. When the beat drops, he shifted his weight on the bar behind him, hitting the arrow faster and faster. Izuku Midoriya was a natural. Passersby started to gather around the boy, impressed by his movements. Some even cheered. Izuku was so in the zone he didn't even hear them going faster and faster. In his head, Izuku finally had a realization he should have a long time ago. I have legs. How could he forget that? It was so obvious. His arms were getting shredded fight after fight. Why did he never try to throw a kick in the mix? He could develop new technique more powerful than before with his legs. The song finally sends him the final arrow. He stopped moving, taking a second to catch his breath. He was finally snapped out of his trance when he heard the loud cheer coming from around him. He sheepishly started bowing at everyone gathered around him but was stopped by Himiko when she took him in her arms. She was hugging him tightly at this moment. She was so proud of him showing his determination in public and being rewarded for it. This is what he deserved. She was so proud of him, she wanted to kiss him so bad and vice versa. She could just stab him again and again and again, that's how happy she was. Toga suddenly pushed herself away from him, there it was, her compulsion. No matter how much she repressed it, she couldn't keep it totally under control. She knew as long as she was near him, she was a danger, but a selfish desire still lingered in her heart. A certitude that if she stayed with him long enough, he could find a way to cure her malice. That was amazing. Izuku was still shocked by the public display of affection he just received, blushed. Why, I didn't know I could do that. Let's go get some food. My treat. Together they made their way out of the arcade. It's digging time. Yes. He did it. He managed to beat All Might with his final move and was typing his winning tag for the high score. Now he just had to find his mom and thank the old guy that gave him the extra life. The young boy made his way toward where his mom was standing outside earlier only to find nothing. His mom was gone, and he was alone at the arcade, with not even enough money to play. His breathing started becoming more erratic, looking around for his mother, but she was nowhere to be seen. Tears started welling in the boy's eyes, he didn't know what to do. What's the matter, kid, you're lost? Came from behind him, he recognizes the old guy from earlier, the same that give him some coin. Sniffweiss. Hey, don't be sad, I'll help you find your mom, little guy. The man crouched at his level, he couldn't see his eye behind his shaded glasses. He put his large hand on his head, ruffling his hair, trying to cheer up the little boy. She must have gone to the front desk. The boy started calming down, seeing the logic in the man's phrase. It was true, his mom saw he had vanished from his spot and went to get some help. Why, you are right, mister. He wiped away his tears with the sleeve of his shirt. I was heading out anyway, want some help to get there? The old guy stood up, offering his hand. Normally he would have said no, but this man had been nothing but gentle to him since he met him. Okay, his voice was still shaky from his earlier outburst. The man put his hand near the back of his head, pushing him forward. All right, let's go then. The boy followed him with no protestation. Together they walked a good minute until they found the front desk, and his attitude changed when he saw his mom arguing with the manager. He was so happy he leapt forward to go meet with his mother. He was stopped by the man hand pulling him by the shirt toward him. Hey kid, you forgot something. As he turned around, he realizes he didn't thank the man for his help. It was incredibly impolite from him. Oh sorry. I mean thank you, mister. The man smiled at him with pursed lips. No problem, kid. The boy turned around ready to tell his mother about the kind stranger he just met, when he was stopped again, this time the man's large hand wrapped around his throat in a gentle manner. Sorry, I forgot to ask you one last thing, kid. For a second time he turned around, but this time he was feeling nervous. What is it? Could you come with me for a second? I need your help with something quick, I promise. This time he smiled with his whole mouth showing off his diamond teeth. The boy was about to say something but was cut off when he felt the hand of the man harden around his throat, making it hard for him to breathe. Thanks, buddy. Izuku and Toga were busy eating hamburgers at a fast food joint right next to the arcade. Cheap and loaded with salt, just how she liked them. Today has been great, her only regret is that they won't be able to do this more often when Izuku school would reopen. When does UA reopened anyway? She said in between large bite of her meal. The green-hair boy swallowed his food before answering her. Well, they said a month, so at least another 2 weeks. Himiko stopped chewing, looking at him, a worried expression on her face. Do you think we will? Izuku cut her off. Whatever happened, I'm sure we will figure it out, he answered with a surprising amount of enthusiasm. It was hard to think this was the same boy that was stuttering when speaking with a girl not even a week ago. She was pleased to see him take her advice and be more forward. I'm glad to be your friend, Himiko, he smiled at her. I'm also glad. She slid her hand again toward him, gently tugging at his arm. Her eyes locked with his for a second time. This time the table was way less large. They didn't stand apart, just barely a meter in front of them. Toga giggled as she lifts her hand toward the corner of his mouth, leaning in and wiping some sauce away. Izuku was caught in her spell for a second time today, also leaning in, his eyes letting go of hers to wanders lower toward her lips. He could hear his heart beating inside his ear. Together they got closer and closer. Hey, I know you. "You're the crazy kid from the festival." They were cut off by a stranger a bit to exited in his realization. The two of them jolting away from each other. Toga was cursing internally the guy for ruining the moment, and Izuku was busy trying to make sense of what just happened to him. The two of them toward what seemed to be a father and his son. The latter was looking incredibly nervous. "My son a big fan of yours. Tell him how awesome you think he is," the father said, pulling the boy toward the pair. "Sure," Izuku said, looking at the boy. He was so nervous he couldn't even look him in the eyes, but something felt weird. He didn't look nervous, he looked afraid. The father was still holding him by the scruff of his neck, and with each movement the boy twitched. Help me," whispered the boy. Izuku immediately recognized this man was holding the boy hostage, but before he could go up from his chair the man activated his quirk around the boy's neck, hardening his hand. In crystalline material. Izuku sat down. "And you?" Now the man turned toward Himiko. She immediately reached for the knife in her pocket but stayed her hand when she saw her Izuku sit down. "You're the little traitorous beach the League wants dead," he grinned, not letting go of the boy. Izuku looked around. They were in a mall. There was probably a hero he could call for help. Maybe if he was fast enough, he could separate them and make a run for it. "What do you want?" His eyes set back to the man, or more accurately the boy he was holding. "Follow me and don't try anything stupid or the boy gets it." Quirk still active, the man started walking away toward on of the exit, not waiting for them to get up. The two exchanges a look. Toga didn't want to risk it, but Izuku couldn't let the boy be harmed, so he got up silently and followed him. Toga didn't wait long. She sighed and got up after Izuku. The man led them toward a back alley near the mall. No foot traffic was visible from where they were standing. Surrounding them was many old shops abandoned behind when the mall opened, pushing away local businesses. Izuku was the first to break the silence as they walked. "Who are you? Are you with the League?" He needed as much information as he could gather. Clearly the man had a hardening quirk. Maybe it was like Kirishima? His seemed different in a way he couldn't pinpoint. "You can call me Diamond," he said with enthusiasm, as if he was announcing himself for a match. "As for the League, let's say I'm just a subcontractor." So, he was paid by the League. "You didn't answer my question earlier. What do you want?" Izuku and Toga stood ready to fight, but with the kids still in his grasp none of them dared make the first move. "Isn't it obvious already?" He looked disappointed, citing as if he had to explain to him 2 + 2. "To kill you both, obviously. I ain't going to lie, I don't know why, and I don't care, but the price on both of your head is a pretty good." He scratches his neck as he explained to them he was here to kill them. In the same tone, "Someone tell you about the weather?" They both tensed, stopping in their movement. Izuku raised his fist, and Toga pulled out her knife. "Just us, nobody else?" The man stopped with them, deciding this spot was good enough, a large empty alleyway from the public. The perfect place for a murder or two. "Yep, just the two of you." He let go of the boy, pushing him toward one of the trash cans, and made no effort to stop him from running away. The boy just stood there, hiding behind the thrash, huddling on himself. "Before you try anything stupid, see this?" The man in the dirty suit showed him some sort of small device. "If the boy gets away farther than 30 meters from me, the bomb at his wrist goes off." He put the device back in his pocket, "and don't even think about breaking it." He silently imitates a bomb going off. Now Izuku realized what was his plan. He couldn't run away. If he did, the boy is dead. He didn't know what to expect. The man was as large as Magna, so he was clearly strong, but another thing perturbs him. When he ended his explanation, he strokes a pose very similar to martial artist, and he didn't know which one it was. He turned toward Toga. "Do you know him?" Toga knew vaguely about Diamond, but nothing useful to them right now. An assassin, deadly efficient. His price was way above the pay grade of most crooks. "He is dangerous, watch out. All I know is he have a hardening quirk." She frowned as the man in front of them just smiled, waiting for them. "Let's make it quick." Without warning, Toga pulled out 2 more knife, throwing them at Diamond. In turn, the man did nothing as the knife simply bounced off his skin, tearing apart his suit in the process. Izuku could see him hardening not his whole body but only the part that was about to be hit. Not wasting time, he slipped into his full cowl 10%, rushing him as the knife hit him. He pulled back his arm and screamed. "California smash!" He hit the man with all the force he could, trying to take him down quickly. But all he could feel was pain in his hand. He looked down to see it purple and bruised, broken. Looking up he could see why Diamond had crystallized his body from his arm to his leg, bracing him against the impact. Izuku had basically hit an unmovable wall with full force. No wonder he broke something. The dirty man grinned. My turn. Before Izuku could back off, Diamond was on him, taking him by his shirt and maneuvering him over and under him, tossing him to the ground. Judo, his martial art was judo. The green-haired boy tried to move him and get away, but his aggressor took him into a leg lock, hardening his leg, creating an unbreakable hold on him. Checkmate. He raised his fist ready to crush his skull but was stopped when Himiko came rushing him, knife aimed at his head. Diamond simply raised his head and hardened his skull. Her knife broke on it, but that gave her just enough time for her to pull Izuku from the leg lock. Luckily, he hadn't made it very tight. You're right, Toga, he is dangerous. One bad move and we are screwed. The boy quickly got up, facing his opponent. The latter took his time to get up. We should Izuku run. His is our worst matchup. Nothing we do affect him. She was right. The man tanked 10% of One for All and didn't even flinch. His hardening was way harder than Kirishima or Tetsu. He looked at the boy near the thrash, still huddling on himself, but for 1 second, he could see his eyes filled with fear. He had the same look as Koda back at the camp. I can't. Toga turned toward him. She loved him, but he was going to kill himself right now for some random kid. Sure, you can. Come on, Izuku, run with me. We can't take him. Desperation was apparent in her voice. In less than a minute of fighting, he already broke his hand. No, because Hiro never let anyone behind. He charged up to 20%, electricity crackling around him, Diamond whistle at the display of power. He had to try. I'm sorry, Himiko. With this he charges back in, Toga shielding her eye from the wind displaced by his movement. Just like that, he was back into the fray. Diamond stood ready for him, taking his usual stance. Instead of his fist, Izuku hit him with the palm of his hand, each hit barely pushing Diamond, who kept blocking by simply hardening at the right time. At least he didn't break his hand this time. After each hit, Izuku dodged some form of grapple. If he'd managed to grab him, it was over. Hit, dodge, hit, weave. He slowly got into a rhythm. Even at 20% he couldn't damage him, each hit barely leaving an impact on the man. Suddenly from behind him he saw Toga trying to take advantage of his blind spot, sliding out more of the broken X-Acto knife only to be met by Crystal. Diamond spun around, taking Himiko by her wrist, hardening his hand around it, and swinging her toward Izuku. He was forced to back away to no get hit. Ending his swing, he slammed her against the pavement at his feet, raising his left foot and pointing it toward her head, hardening it. In a swift motion he tried to spear her head with his foot but missed when Izuku kicked his foot aside, lodging it in the road next to Himiko's head. He tried to lift his foot, but it was stuck. Toga swiped at his other foot only to meet the same crystal barrier. The assassin let go of Toga, who rolled away next to Izuku. Then he used both his hands to pull his leg from the ground, taking a second to dust himself off. I must say, you guys are something. First time someone stay this long without dying, congrats. This guy wasn't even sweating. The duo was starting to pant from their exhaustion. 20% was taking a toll on his body, and a brush with death made Himiko a bit nervous. Izuku was thinking, his hardening was different from the other he saw. Whenever he hardened some part of his body, he couldn't move it if he wanted to stay mobile. Himiko aimed for his joint. Toga didn't get it, but she trusted Izuku. Oh, you figured it out? He said, stretching his back, barely phased. His secret was out. Yeah, whatever I harden, I can't move it. To prove it, he hardened a crooked finger and tap it, lock in. He then took back his fighting pose. Except this time, he didn't wait for them charging at both. Hardening his forearm and hand, he swung at the teens, slicing through the wall they were standing against. Clearly grapple wasn't the only thing dangerous about him. His whole body was basically a weapon. As she dodges, Himiko aimed at his elbow with her knife. He managed to harder it in time, locking his arm. Izuku took the initiative and grabbed the crystal limb. Before he could counterstrike, Izuku threw him against the ground in a manner similar he was thrown earlier. Before Diamond hit the ground, he crystallizes high hole back, tanking the large swing. The kids left no time for him to think as Himiko was back at it this time, trying to slice his throat open. She managed to nick him, letting out a droplet of blood. Seeing this, Diamond reach out to grab the both of them, but they back away before he could grab them. He rose from the ground quickly this time, touching his neck, seeing the tiny drop of blood. "Oh ho ho," he started laughing in a dark manner. "You are so dead, Beach." His eyes locked onto the girl. She simply smiled back. "Next time it's going to be your jugular, Pebble Boy." Himiko was starting to also get the rhythm, but something was off about her. Her smile grew and grew as she stared at the bloodied blade. Manic energy replaced confidence. She needed more blood. She charged at him, ignoring the protestation of Izuku, laughing maniacally, slicing and dicing, trying to open the geode in front of her. Izuku tried to get in, but her slash was wide and could hurt him. Slowly she pushes Diamond back, not leaving him an opening to strike. Haha. She had gone fully berserk. Izuku knew this was bad, but he didn't know what to do in this state. She could harm him. He had to try something. As Toga was slicing at her opponent wildly, Izuku came from behind her and tried to pull her off in hope of calming her. Instead, as he pulled on her shirt, she swung back, leaving a gash on his face just under his right eyes. Her mania was quickly replaced by worry. In her mental breakdown, she hurt Izuku. "I'm sore." Diamond didn't miss his opportunity, and holding his hand flat and hardened, he stabbed her in the guts, skewering her. Izuku was able to pull her back, but the damage was done. She lay in his arms, spatting a glob of blood on him. Izuku panicked. "Toga!" She couldn't answer, blood already in her throat. She felt so weak right now. All she could see was Izuku crying over her, removing his shirt, trying to stop her blood flow. So many things happening in his head right now: worry, anger, sadness. Emotion mingling together all at once. As he looked at the girl bleeding out in his arm, he tried to tell her all will be fine, but his throat clung shut. He could only cry as she was dying. He was a useless hero, not able to save Himiko when she needed him the most. One emotion stood above the rest when he looked at Toga right now. Diamond took the time to wipe the blood off his arm with his shirt. A pathetic sight in front of him as he watches the boy cry over the maniacal Beach. "Honestly, I think I've done you a favor, kid. She wasn't right in the head, this one." He looked as the boy stopped trembling. Izuku remembered. He remembers who did this to Himiko, and suddenly all the love he was feeling was replaced by another feeling. His rudimentary bandage applied to Toga, he got up, unshaken. "You okay, kid? You like yo?" "Shut up," whispered Izuku. Diamond grinned. "A set opponent is a stupid opponent." "Sorry, I meant to s." He didn't finish his phrase as he was speed blitzed by the teen, eating a punch in the guts. He didn't have time to harden and was sent right into through a wall. Sheet. He stumbled out of the hole, hardening most of his body in case the boy come back for more. He had taken a bad hit. He could feel the blood in his mouth. This felt good for Izuku. He wanted more. He wanted to hurt this man, watch him suffer, but he needs to be intelligent about it. His quirk hardened his body to the point of being as hard as diamond. He probably won't get another shot like this. How could he hut something unbreakable? Could he harden all his body, his organ? Maybe, but if he does that, it's... Izuku had a plan, a reckless, stupid plan, but still a plan. He waited as his opponent got out from the building. He sent him in. "I got to admit, you pack a punch, kid. Too bad it's the last one you'll land on me." He took back his fighting pose. Behind him, the kid had seen everything. He couldn't believe it. The green guy was strong. He could win. He looked as both took fighting stance, sizing each other, and suddenly they were back at it. This was like watching an action movie. He couldn't believe his eyes. He was snapped out of his trance when heard the bleeding girl cough beside him. He didn't know what to do, but he had to try something. He ran toward her and looked at her wound and panicked. There was so much blood. What was he supposed to do? "Izu dash, ku dash," she said in between, coughing. The kid saw the boy use his shirt. Maybe he could do the same. He took off his shirt and pushed it on her belly, trying to make the blood disappear. Save you miss. For Himiko, this was a weird experience. All around her, she felt a buzzing sensation mixed with cold. She looked toward the little boy in front of her, crying. He was plain, brown hair, round face, nothing special. Still a total stranger helping her. If she could, she'll laugh. She thought only Izuku could ever cared about her. Well, now look at her now making friends. Izuku was still caught in his fight, hitting the man with all he got. He had one chance to enact his plan, and if he misses, he is dead. He was pushing him back bit by bit. "Come on. Nice try, kid, but this has no effect on him dash." Diamond stopped as he felt the curb behind him, sending him tumbling backward. Now! He ignored the pain his hands and started sending him left hook followed by right hook hitting him in the face. Diamond was confused. That was his plan, hitting me in the face? He blocked both hit with his hardening, crystallizing down to his neck to brace for the impact, each of them sending him left and right. And now he'll aim for the guts. Keeping one eye intact, he watches as he charges another left hook. He hardened his body waiting for the next blow, but it never came to the guts. Izuku sent his left right back at his head. Then a right, then a left, then a right, then a left again and again and again. What is he doing? Each hit sent his unstable body left and right, shaking him all over. This is a joke? Does he think he can break me? Then he felt it, his whole world shaking. What was happening? Never in his career he felt that. Poison? Drags? No. This was not a trick. Somehow this boy was hurting him. How? He felt a left followed by another right aimed at his head. I get it. This boy wasn't aiming at his head, he was aiming inside. His brain, the only thing he can't harden. This boy was trying to give him a concussion from his gray matter bouncing inside his cranium, but each hit he tore his hands apart. This is an endurance game to see who break first. Izuku could feel his hand crying in pain. He suffered so much already, but he couldn't stop. Not until he released his quirk. Left, right, Dempsey smash roll. A barrage of hit, one rolling into the other, came coming his way. Diamond endured each hit, never giving his brain a second to relax. He was about to break when all of a sudden, crack. Izuku Midoriya just broke his left arm, snapping it under the stress of all the successive hit. Crack. Followed by his right forearm. Now Izuku had broken both his hands and arm. He couldn't punch anymore. This was over for him. Diamond couldn't help but laugh internally. Yes, I win. Thump. Another hit? How? He broke both his arm. What the F is he hitting me with? He was suddenly hit again by the boy. In his confusion he looked and saw, I have legs. Izuku screaming, continuing his barrage of kick left and right again and again. He could see his hardening sputtering out of control. As Izuku kicked him with his left foot, he saw his opening, a lapse of control from Diamond. His body was wide open. New York shoot style. And with his battered right foot he landed a devastating blow, sending his opponent flying up into the air. Diamond had no idea what was happening. He couldn't tell his left from his right, nor his up from his down. He realized too late that he was crashing down and landed face first into the dumpster next to the kid, who yelped at the sudden landing. With his opponent down, Izuku let out a primal cry, won a victory. Suddenly he could feel all the pain hit him at once and fell face first into the pavement, unable to stop himself. He could only lift his head to see Himiko still on the ground with the kid pushing down on her open wound, and then he passed out. What a mess. A woman finally opened the door of her establishment on to find most of the street in front of her shred apart, holes and thrash everywhere. She was somewhat tall, probably in her 40s. Her brown hairs were long, reaching her waist. Her face was tired with permanent bags under her eyes. A single mole was underneath her left eye. She was also wearing a lab coat over her everyday clothes. The tired woman could hear from the other side the fight going on, and seeing the damage, she is glad she didn't open earlier. Now all there is: a brat, an unconscious brat, a bleeding brat, and a hobo in the thrash. Great! She looked at the poor soul laying in front of her and let out a long sigh. Hey! She shouted to the little boy, trying to stop the bleeding. And me? I don't see anyone else conscious. What happened? She let out, bored, her tone barely affected by what she saw. It's he. The kid tried to speak, but clearly he was shocked by what happened. He could barely string two words together. Never mind. Help me move them inside. WB. He stuttered, some more unsure of what was happening. The woman was clearly annoyed by the boy. Never mind that. Sai-John. We got clients, she shouted behind her. The boy looked at the door and then saw the biggest man he ever saw. He must have been 7 foot tall, and he was built like a tank. Without speaking, he walked toward the boy towering over him. The kid couldn't help but feel a sense of dread as the man slowly reached toward him. He closed his eyes, awaiting his imminent doom, only for the large man to pick up the unconscious girl next to him and walk back toward the woman. What are you doing? he shouted, afraid for the fate of his saviors. My job. I'm a doctor now, get in before the police come in, said the bored woman.